That's right. Welcome in. Welcome back, folks. You're not dreaming. It's not the wrong day. It's not the wrong day. We're going live on a Thursday, folks. We're going live on a Thursday. So I don't know what the crowd's going to be like right now, since this is kind of an impromptu episode that isn't normally planned. As all you know that are here regularly, you all know Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday is the routine. But that's only the routine if I'm not going to a Notre Dame game. And on this one, you got to figure this stuff way ahead, folks. So on this one, I got a house for the weekend in South Bend. I figured I booked it, before the season started. You have to make sure you get ahead of this. These things book up. So I booked the house, but that means I got to drive first thing tomorrow morning to go there. So I'm not going to be available to do the show both tomorrow morning and Saturday. So we're going to do something today to try and have some coverage here. See, we're throwing off Kent. Kent's all messed up, my Ohio State guy. He's figuring Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday. He's going to be mad that I did him wrong on a Thursday. Yeah, wake up, Kent. Hopefully he's got notifications on and he listens to me when I tell people to do so. So I don't know. We'll see if he wakes up or if he's at the postage house, if he'll tune in. So I know it's going to be kind of an odd crowd. Maybe not the same numbers as usual. We're throwing people off, but I don't care. I don't care. I want to talk Notre Dame Clemson. I just do. I want to talk about it. And we may even have a guest caller from the Clemson side at some point. So if I do see that number pop up, we're going to go ahead and get him in here to break down some Notre Dame Clemson action from the Clemson side. Okay, so that's going to be the plan. I don't know if this is going to be a full 2-hour episode or not. We're just going to play it by ear for a little bit here. I have a couple things I want to go over that's come up, and we'll just kind of go from there and see what we got as far as callers. Hop in, folks. 312-900-8815. Easier to get in today than some others since we're surprising people with this episode. All right. So let's get through the introductions. We'll do roll call. I see a couple callers up right away. 703 going to be first. 786 guest caller if he calls in. All right. So obviously, YouTube, you're all on it. So there's no reason not to hit subscribe. You're all on it. Yeah, V1 Rotate says, V1 Rotate V2 says, glad I have notifications on. That's what they're there for, folks. So YouTube, hit subscribe if you haven't yet. Give the video a thumbs up. That helps as well. Notifications on. That way you'll be alerted every time I got to do an episode, even if it comes out of nowhere. Like today. You might not have known. And if you're not on Twitter, maybe you wouldn't have known at all. I mean, I put stuff on Twitter, but I realize not everybody that's on YouTube's on Twitter to see that. So I don't know. All right. Twitter, if you're trying to find me, always Irish. Okay. Search it in the bar or put at in front of it. I'll pop right up. Audio only. Anywhere you want me. You can get me. Call in line 312-900-8815. Fighting Irish Wire. Tune in, make it a part of your daily Notre Dame routine. All right, got through the introductions. Let's do roll call, couple comments, and then we're going to get right to the calls. Mark, good to see you here. Mark's here. Matt Miller's here. Regulars, Nick Dean, good to see you here. Notre Dame 2164. Wow, look at this. Good morning, John. Been at work since 4 this morning. Can't tell if I'm hyped or delirious. You're hyped and you're delirious. It's both. Appreciate the hard work. Always appreciate hard workers. Something I want to know from you guys. If we do get this rain and windy weather they're calling for, the worst of it seems to be earlier in the day. I don't know, that's going to affect your tailgates, but I'm more concerned about how it affects the game. So even if it isn't raining, but they get those 30 to 40 mile an hour winds off that stupid lake, that always makes whatever the weather is even more intense there. How does that change the ball game? Even if it isn't rain at that point, but a lot of wind, how does that change the approach? Who does that benefit? Let me know. I want to know. Matt Miller playing Clemson in the Hurricanes is kind of our jam. What's a little thunderstorm in South Bend compared to that? It's true. I mean, it's making everybody remember that. What was it? 2015, right? The Hurricane game in 2015. No, I mean, that's making everybody's mind open up here, having those memories. But it's good to see some Clemson people in here. Jaded, it's good to see you here. Always good to see you, Jaded. Open 703, you're coming up. 786. Open field tackling is one of the keys to winning or losing this game, Jaded says. Here's the issue with that, Jaded. I don't think we've been extremely good at that most of the year. I don't. Those overall numbers keep the defense in these games, keep Notre Dame in most of these games overall. They're not the reason we've lost the games or struggled, compared to the offense. But you're absolutely right. Bad angles, bad tackling most of the year. I agree. Look at this. 703 are coming up. Tiger in Navarro. Can't wait for Saturday night. I like having some people from the opposing side in here. It's healthy for the ecosystem. So I really do like it. Jaded, stop Shipley from running. Stop DJU from running. And we have a manageable game. Number one priority for Notre Dame on defense. You cannot let Clemson start running the ball on you. That game's over. You let them start running it on early downs for 6 or 7, forget it. You're done. You're just done. Don't even bother if you're going to start giving up 6 yards on a first down run play or something ignorant like that. Just forget it. Save us all being cold and wet if that's what you're going to do. So I'm not open to that at all. And the other thing, sorry, 703, to make you wait. I'm coming to you. Here's the other thing about this that's bugging me already. It hasn't even happened. Maybe you could say this is short-sighted or me being sensitive or being myself too much. But especially with the problems Notre Dame's had at home this year, that makes me even more not open to getting ran on at all in this ball game. We already look weak at home. We already look like we can't play well at home. We already proved we can't defend our home turf. I am not open to sitting there and watching this team run it down our throat on our home field. Absolutely freaking not. No. So I don't care if DJU burns you with his arm 50 times in this game. I will tip my cap, but I'm not getting ran on down my throat at home when nobody already thinks we can defend our home. Not a good look. And it ain't happening. Make that kid beat you with his arm. And if he does, good for you. But I'm not getting ran on in this ball game. It ain't happening. I say that as if I can control it. It might happen, but then I'm going to be very upset about it. I'm sorry. We already have a home issue. And the number one thing that emasculates a team at home is what? Getting it ran on. Getting ran on right at you. You can't stop it. You're at your home building in front of your people, and you're just getting pushed 4 yards off the ball. Can't have it. Cannot have it this week. Jaded. Let's see what you got. I don't think we have the tackling or pass coverage to stop this team. You're going to find out. You're going to find out quick. I don't know. It's just a big mystery. What team's going to show up? Nobody knows. Nobody knows. Nobody can know. Nobody can know. Jason says, if Freeman doesn't pull Pine after 6 3-and-outs and put Angelo in, I'm going to be pissed. A&M changed their quarterback, and they look great now. First off, Jason, I can tell you're a longtime Notre Dame fan because you're already baking in that we're going to have 6 3-and-outs in a row. That's how I know you're a Notre Dame fan and you've suffered all these years. This Jason's already building in the fact that it's just a done deal, that we're going to have 6 3-and-outs to start. That's hilarious. If it gets to the point where you have to do that and make a quarterback change, it's just, I don't know how pretty that's going to be when the backup to the backup. That's the other thing, you guys. In that dynamic, we're going to the backup of the backup. So now we're down to third string in our biggest game of the year left, right? Like, you're already going down 1, 2. Now people are asking for the backup of the freaking backup. That's where Notre Dame's quarterback room is, folks. People are asking for the backup of the backup to play. That's where we're at, folks. In case you're wondering, that's the status. My word. Angela, good morning. It's good to see you. I say what I say every day. It's good to have a Rudiger here. Okay, it just is. Gives me comfort. Good family. Nick Dean. I know it's cliche, but man, a fast start would be great, like 17-0 after the first. Hey, think about 2020. Odd dynamic, pandemic, no crowd, but the students, all those things were in play. And what did Notre Dame do? Kyron Williams right away. I think it was the first play of the game. Touchdown. Changes everything. Changes everything. I want to say it gave the crowd momentum and all that. There really wasn't one other than the students. I'm just saying early start means the world. Notre Dame has an issue with slow starts at home. Here's the deal. You get off to a really slow start at home against a quality team and a quality coaching staff like this one as, you're screwed. You're screwed if you're Notre Dame. This ain't Marshall. This ain't Stanford. Give Dabo and this program credit for what they are. Even if you don't think they're winning the championship this year and you have doubts of how viable of a playoff team they would be right now and all, fine. You could say all that stuff. Give them the respect that they deserve. It's a good coach, a good program, and you know they have good talent. So you get off to a slow start against these cats at home, you're done. I just think you're done. What, is Notre Dame built to come from behind with what? Their magic passing game? You can't get behind more than a score, really, in this game. Notre Dame ain't built to score quick. They're barely built to score at all. I'm getting worked up, getting wound up. Get off to a good start at home, all right? Everybody's already going to be sitting there waiting for the bottom to fall out, Marshall style. Show up and play good right away. Big ball game at your place. You don't get up for that. You don't deserve the gold helmet. True facts. Paul Conley with the $5 holler. Good morning to you, Paul. Paul gives me money every single day. He's single-handedly paying for this call-in line here. Paul, you're the man. I appreciate you. Good morning, John. I hope Reese can put together a game plan that will combat Clemson stopping the run. Maybe wishful thinking. Here's the deal, Paul, with that. The deal with that is what has been keeping me up at night all week. So, Paul, you were spot on, and you were right in my wheelhouse of how I'm thinking. Clemson, they're coming off a bye. That's the other thing. You're giving Dabo and that staff 2 weeks to plan for this. He ain't a dummy. He's seen it all, been around the block, made it to the top of the hill. All right? Dabo knows what's going on. He's looking at this Notre Dame offense. He's looking at what happened in the Syracuse film, and he's going, all right, we're just going to stop the run and then make Pine try and throw the ball now in what might be 30 or 40 mile an hour winds, and then we win the game. That might be Dabo's plan. It's like, John, that's oversimplified. Yeah, Notre Dame's simple to defend. Like, I've heard people say that. Oh, yeah, that's an oversimplification. Yeah, so is the way Notre Dame plays offense is an oversimplification. You ain't got to be a rocket doctor to figure it out. Even before they were calling for 30 mile an hour winds, that was going to be the plan. You know Notre Dame's going to want to run the ball. You know Clemson's going to want to stop it. So while I know Dabo's planning for all that for 2 weeks, I need Reese to be planning his pivot. Not focusing on those scripted plays where he's going to try and run right away and all that. Yeah, I get that. What is your pivot when Clemson stacks the box and dares you to win in one-on-one coverage outside in 30-mile-an-hour winds? What's your freaking pivot? What are you going to do? You going to open it up? What are you going to do? This is what's been keeping me up all night. This question. Because let me ask you, Notre Dame folks, this. I'm going to ask you all this. How many times in Notre Dame's biggest ball games, I'm talking we are playing the best team on our schedule or we're in a playoff game, how many times do you see those matchups? Notre Dame goes in there. We're O-line you. Even in our good years, we're running the ball good against most of the teams we play. Lean on the running game, blah, 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 O-line you. Then we play the best teams we play in a year. Could be the last game of the year. Could be Ohio State in the first game of the year. Whatever it is. When O-line you plays the best team we play, we cannot run the ball. I'm sorry. Give me the one time we played the biggest game of the year and we're able to run the ball good. 200 yards, something you could lean on. It ain't any of the playoff games. It wasn't Ohio State. It wasn't Michigan in 19. Like, every time we end up in the biggest game with everything on the line, we end up not able to run the ball. And I'm sick of it. So how many times in these games do you see Notre Dame's offense end up looking like this? First down, boring run, no yards. Second down, more boring run, loss of a yard. 3rd and 11, Notre Dame's quarterback's running for his life. The other team's coming to kill him. It's an obvious passing situation. Nobody's open. It's a strip sack, or he runs around and then throws it 4 rows up or gets out of bounds for a 3-yard gain on 3rd and 11. How many times have you seen that play out with Kelly and Reese at Notre Dame? I would argue that's the only offensive plan we've had in all of our biggest games recently. That was the plan, and you realize you can't run it at all, and then there's no pivot. Every playoff game we've been in, that's happened. Some of the big losses we've had recently, that's what happened. Come on. What's the pivot, Notre Dame? What's the pivot? Are you really going to try and be able to throw the ball in all this wind when your quarterback's under 50% the last month anyways? All right. Like, you got to figure something out. So, I don't know, folks. I'm getting worked up. There's just a lot here, and there's a lot that I'm not open to. I don't know how else to say it. It's been a long year. There are a lot of things I am simply not open to seeing at all in this game. And a boring, predictable offense with no pivot is top of the list. Top of the list. I'm not open to it. Now, if you're running the ball and it's working a little bit, you're getting 4 or 5 yards on first or second down doing it. God bless you. I have just seen way too many ball games where O-line U faces the best team we play in a year and they cannot run at all. And then I ask, how are you O-line U when in the biggest moments you can't run the ball at all? It's a fair question. You can name all the individual guys that are in the league and are good from our offensive line. I like them too. I like Q Nelson too. I do. All right. Ronnie Stanley, like the Martins. I love it. McGlinchey. I get it. None of those guys played good in the biggest games they played at Notre Dame. Sorry. It's always going to bother me. You want to be called O-line U. That means to me, in the biggest ball games, you can move people off the ball. If you're O-line U, you should be able to do that. Sorry, you should. Telling you, people want to see Angeli. It's dangerous. It's just dangerous. Like, I want to see something else, but you're going to put Angeli in risky. Here's a question. Just a general question. how realistic is it? No sarcasm. I'm really asking. How realistic is it to think, I don't think Angeli's thrown a ball yet this year. So I understand people want a quick hook on Pine if it starts rough. I get why. I totally get that. But my question is, how rough does it have to be for the staff to literally put Angeli in there against the best team left on the schedule that's undefeated, looking to make the playoff, and he hasn't even completed a pass yet this year? How realistic is it they go to that? That if that happens, you're in a bad spot because it means Pine isn't doing anything. If you end up in that Saturday night, it means Pine's not doing anything and it's all a disaster. That also probably means Notre Dame's way behind. And then what? You're asking Angeli to come in here and throw in a passing game that already struggled in the rain to catch up and the guy's never passed before? Do you see the issues here? It's quarterback on quarterback on quarterback issues. We all need to understand how sad it is that half of my chat's asking for the backup of the backup. This can't be real life at Notre Dame, folks. It can't be. This can't be what it looks like at Notre Dame. You gotta be in a better spot. You just have to be in a more stable spot. I'm losing my mind here that we're sitting here asking for the backup of a backup to win us our biggest game left. Man, that's tough. I don't know what else to say, folks. That's just damn tough. It's a big assignment. 7:03, you're coming up. Glad I have notifications on. V1, that's what the notifications are for, because I want you to be alerted every time I got to go live or do something else stupid. Phil, good to see you, Phil. I think he's trying to figure out how to avoid the Michigan truck this year. Well, oh, that's true too. Brandon Fry, going to be a fun weekend. Brandon, I'll text you. Friday night, party at John's. I'm renting a house and people are coming over. So anybody wants to make some moves Friday night, about 5 or 7 minutes from campus, we're making some moves. I'm too old to be fighting the youngsters on the Eddy Street bars in South Bend at midnight. It ain't going to happen. I'm too old. I'm too old. You're not finding me fighting people in them bars to get a drink and go find a seat at 11 o'clock Friday night. Nope, not happening. You want to hang out? BYOB, I'll have food and some beer. Come find me. It's kind of an open house. People are going to be coming and going. Say hi, have some food, have a drink, take off. That's the plan Friday night, folks. Hit me up, Party Central. What do we got here? Tony, let's ride. Hope there are plenty other ND fans this weekend for ND to win, not to see them play. I see Tony. Tony, I really appreciate that. Something I said the other day in my show, I noticed that he's noticed the way I phrased it. What I said is, when I was talking about Notre Dame fans and the Notre Dame home experience, what I said was, I can't make this clear enough. When my family goes to Notre Dame for a football game, my entire life, when we go to a Notre Dame game, I go there to watch Notre Dame win. I do not go there to see them play. I do not go there to watch the game. I go there to see Notre Dame win. That is my singular purpose for driving my carcass on that toll road between Illinois and Indiana. It isn't to enjoy the experience. It isn't to see the ambiance. It isn't to take pictures of the sun reflecting off the dome. It isn't to be in the library historical display that is Notre Dame Stadium. I go there to see them win. I go to see them win, period. Get that in everybody's mind. You don't go there to watch the game and see what happens and have a picnic. You go to see your team win. That's the only reason you go to the game. Tony also says, I do think the weather is an advantage to ND. Might be cold, wet, windy night in the Bend. Might not even be able to throw. This is a double-edged sword, Tony. This is a double-edged sword. I've been struggling with this too. Craig, good to see you in here, Craig. I got to get with you too. Tailgate situations are messed up, folks. People making alternate plans for the weather, throwing everything off. Okay? So, Tony, man, you guys are hitting on the stuff that I've been tossing and turning, can't sleep over. He says he thinks the weather is an advantage. Might not be able to throw. We already can't throw great. So who does that help? Look at it this way. If you figure even with some of Clemson's inconsistencies, you figure that their passing game's got to be more advanced than Notre Dame's because everybody's is. Even teams you've never heard of, even quarterbacks you never heard of, coaches you never heard of. Their offenses are better passing offenses than Notre Dame, all right? So then it's like, well, maybe nobody could pass. All right. I guess that means it makes it harder for Clemson to pass, but it also makes it harder for us to pass, and it was already hard. So who does that help and how much? That's where I'm getting blocked in my mind because it's like, yeah, that it makes it harder to pass for everybody. We already are challenged. Are we going to be able to complete any? And then if Clemson's run defense is their strength, how does that not play right into them? If the weather's going to make us run it even more, and that's already their strength, and we struggle passing already, how are we going to be more accurate with the passes in a 30-mile-an-hour wind when our guy's under 50% in no wind the last few weeks? I don't know who that benefits. If you're looking at it as Notre Dame's defense, maybe you don't want them to throw it around, and that helps. I could see this going a few different ways, and I'm nervous about it. Nervous. BVG should be coach. God, I'm never going to get over that name. Making me think of that guy. Brandon says, we're going to go to the phone soon. Brandon says, I think it's going to be a crazy atmosphere. The Bend is already buzzing. Saw people in Irish gear walking around campus yesterday already. That would be good to see if people are getting in town early. I wrote about this yesterday in the Fighting Irish Wire, actually, about this atmosphere and what it could do to the fans if it's a cold, rainy situation. I've seen this break a few different ways. Like I tell you guys every week, I'm not bragging. I just live close to Notre Dame to where I've been to dozens and dozens and dozens of home games. I've seen all the dynamics, okay? Here's how this can go. 2012, Stanford, rainy, miserable, wet, windy, all game. Everybody bought into it that was in the stands. We loved it. I couldn't have been happier being miserable, cold, and wet, watching Notre Dame pull that win off in overtime. I did not care at all that it was rainy and miserable and wet in that dynamic. Everybody gave up on being comfortable and just went crazy and dove right in. I loved it. This ain't that, though. Notre Dame's not playing with everything on the line. They're not playing for an undefeated season and a chance at a championship. So you already don't have that buzz because that dynamic's not there. What if things go bad for Notre Dame early? What if they go bad for Notre Dame early and the weather's cold and windy and wet? You want to talk about Notre Dame Stadium not being an advantageous place to play for the home team with the crowd and how loud they are and all that? You combine cold, wet, windy weather with Notre Dame getting off to a bad start at home, that's a recipe for a long, miserable night for everybody involved in South Bend with Notre Dame interest. On the flip side, you get in there and it's rainy, windy, wet, whatever, not ideal conditions, and Notre Dame makes a couple plays early, or Notre Dame hangs around within a score, that's where you get the fans engaged. That's where you get that energy, that collective vibe of like, screw it. We're all here and we're all wet and cold, but we're going to pull this off. That would be great too. But it's incumbent on the team to provide that spark by staying in this ball game and making plays to keep people engaged. It is not all the fans' responsibility to provide the energy. All right? The team should help by playing good football at home. It's not all on us. I take that the wrong way. It's like, well, the crowd's not into it. Well, why don't you give me something to get into then? Seriously, how loud do people want me to be for 3 and outs at home by our offense? How much you want me to yell for that? So, yeah, Notre Dame needs a more intimidating home environment. Some of it's on the team to give me a reason to go there. Oh, no wonder it wasn't loud for Marshall. You were playing like shit all day. Duh. So some of that's on you, not all on me. What do you want me to do? Act like I'm in a good mood with my pom-poms? Some of it's on the team. Give people reason to get engaged. Rob, thanks for being here, Rob. My biggest fear is that Saturday's like the 2011 night game against USC. We thought that week things were turning a corner, but we laid a big egg. Woo! However, he says 24-20 ND. I'm trying not to think about that ball game in 2011. If I recall, isn't that the one where we were going into score on like the 1-inch line, and there was a fumbled snap from Dane Christ, and the USC dude picks it off the goal line, just picks the ball up and returns it 99.99 yards the other way for a touchdown on us. And I'm still brokenhearted over it, Rob. That just can't be it, man. 24-20 Indy's I'm playing with my score prediction. I got to put it out in the paper tonight in the Irish Wire. I'm playing with which way to go here. I don't know. Craig, good to see you, man. I'll be seeing you tomorrow. Phil, I'd like to be a fly on Tommy's hat this week of practice, see what kind of game plan he's putting together this week. Hopefully something to other than running up the middle and passing to Mayer. I'm telling you, I'm not open to this. I've seen this. I've seen the offensive game plan Notre Dame puts out there recently against the best teams we play, and it always sucks. It is always conservative. They don't take chances. They don't even try to win. The offenses in these type of games recently have been built to not lose by a lot, not to win. I will repeat. The offenses Notre Dame runs out there in the biggest games we play recently in recent years, the offenses are lame, unimaginative, frail. They almost play scared. They're boring, and there's no pivot. There's no pivot. There's never been one. So if you can run the ball, by all means, run the ball. I'm just saying you need to account for the fact you might not be able to, because every damn time O-line U plays one of the best teams we play, we rush the ball for 58 yards. The Georgia games, the Michigan game, the Miami game in 17, both the playoff games. All right? You're rushing it for under 100 yards in all those games. So O-line U yourself. All you want, O-line U. Fine. I need O-line U to play their best in the biggest moments. That's O-line U to me. Where you win your biggest games because of that unit moving people around. We have not done that. I'm open to that happening this week, but until I see it, no. Because the history tells me I'm not going to get good enough play. Pivot, Tommy. I need you to pivot. First and second down boring runs into a wall, setting up 3rd and long every drive ain't going to cut it. I'm not telling you I have all the answers. I'm just telling you got to figure something out. You got to figure it out. Right? All right, couple calls. I'm going to get to more of these chats. 219-703. First two up. 219, you're on the line.
John, what's up, buddy? How you doing?
It's all starting to get to me, man. I'm starting to get a little worked up. You know what I mean? That feeling, that big game feeling. You start getting that nervous anxiety in your stomach a couple days earlier than usual. It's all building up, man. Even though we're not undefeated or playing for a playoff run, it's a big game, and I'm starting to feel it. Where are you at?
Yeah, I mean, early in the week, I felt real confident. And then I've been hearing a lot of us Notre Dame fans all feeling real confident. So I started thinking last night, I'm like, man, maybe I'm a little too confident. Maybe I need to tap it down a little bit. And then I hear you this morning, and I'm like, yeah, maybe I should tap it down.
All right. Well, now wait. Now, I'm not trying to bring anybody else down. I'm not trying to do that. Like, I want people to be optimistic, and I am too. I am open to them coming out and looking good in this game. I'm just saying the offensive evidence I've seen from this unit this year, coaching and on-field play, when I see that, and I look at what's happened in recent years when Notre Dame plays one of their toughest opponents of the year, we end up struggling on offense. We already struggle on offense against bad teams. So how are we not going to struggle this week? Like, I'm just trying to work it out in my head, man. I'm just trying to work it out in my head.
Hey, you have great points. You have great points.
But tell me why you were optimistic, though. You said you were feeling optimistic early in the week. So tell me why. Tell me what is getting you in that mind frame, because I want to get there. Tell me. Bring me along on this journey.
It's just a gut feeling for me. And I've seen Clemson not really blow anyone out. So it's kind of a combination of both. But you have great points. This team's done nothing this year that should make us confident. You know what I mean?
I'm sorry. It's just, I have so much scar tissue from these games that I think I default to protect mode. And that's upsetting. I don't want to have to do that. But until I see a different process and result, the process and result that I expect is the one we've been getting. And so I hope they have a pivot here, man. I hope they're ready for what's coming.
Wouldn't it be great if we actually just saw them play a full game? Wouldn't that be amazing?
I'm telling you, man, it's the home struggles are an issue. And the other thing is playing 4 full quarters. I don't think Notre Dame has a chance to pull off this game if they don't play a full game against this team. You don't have that leeway this week. Don't you agree?
Yeah, I agree. They have to play a full game, and they just have to come ready to play. And
now,
you got to get away from playing bad at home.
I know.
When you play bad at home, it's maddening.
Do you, when you were talking about your optimism, is some of that you watched Clemson and Syracuse, and then you watched us in Syracuse back-to-back weeks, so you could like kind of compare who did what against that common opponent? Like, was that a part of it?
I don't think it was so much Syracuse, because if you really watch that game, Clemson gave them 4 turnovers in that game and then shut them out in the second half. But it seems like all season, they're not the same Clemson team we've played in the past. They're winning games, but they're not blowing people out.
Yeah, it's interesting. And I keep coming back to this, man. They give up 88 yards rushing a game. Notre Dame's going to try and rush the ball. Something has to give. They give up under 100. That ain't going to cut it this week. How much above average is Notre Dame in the running game to be able to move the ball enough on the ground that it opens up anything else you maybe could do with the weather, or maybe not? I don't even know.
Yeah, when you gave that stat yesterday with 80 yards a game, I was like, ooh, maybe we're not. Maybe I shouldn't be so confident because we all know that D line; those are all NFL guys.
Yep. They're all that's my main point. So then what are you going to do? First and second run, boring run plays into a wall, third and long every time. You're dead if you do that. You're setting up Pine to fail if you do that. That cannot be the way. That cannot be the plan. So I need to see Tommy come up with something this week. It's a big week for him. I need you to come up with something that moves the ball.
Yeah, I think it's a big week for everybody, the whole program. This game is, if we can come out and just play a solid game and just play good football, win the game, it's huge for the whole program. It's huge for everything.
Yeah.
And then we'll be kind of on a roll.
Yeah, well, think about it, man. Again, doesn't matter what this game looks like. If you find a way to win it by 1 point, it doesn't matter if it's ugly, you play like crap, what, it doesn't matter. This is one of those ball games. If you find a way, man, it changes a lot. It goes a long way to undoing the can't play at home thing. Okay, the big game thing. Freeman would be able to rack up a bunch of ranked wins this year, no matter what else happened, even with the weird losses. Like, there's a lot of advantages that come to that. It can only help you in recruiting. Like, it helps Tommy prove that he can navigate against an elite program and move the ball with his offense. There's a lot to monitor, man. There's a lot to keep tabs on.
Yeah, there's going to be a ton of recruits there. And it seems like Freeman has actually had them ready for the bigger games. It's been the games that have no juice at all.
Yeah.
That we've struggled in. The bigger games we've looked ready to play against the better teams.
Yeah, and that's another really good point when people are asking how's Notre, and that's my number one question. How's Notre Dame going to show up right away? And it's sad, but it's like, well, they didn't show up ready against Marshall and Stanford. You could only hope that Clemson coming in with their ranking and cachet and brand and what they are and what they have been, how does that not get your attention right away? Like, you should always be ready to play your home games. I'm not excusing what happened against Marshall and Stanford, but I see no way you are not laser focused and ready to go when you're playing this team. And if it happens, get out of here. I don't turn in your helmet, turn in your pads. You can't play here if you aren't jacked up to play this game at home.
Yeah, if this doesn't get you jacked up, then I don't know what will. And I think we've proven over the season, what I can see, is that we can match up with these teams like Clemson everywhere on the field, besides quarterback. So Tommy needs to come up with something to get Pine some easy throws, scheme some stuff up. I know Clemson's weak on the back end. They seem to struggle with deep balls. He's got to come up with something in the passing game because the power run isn't going to win this game. It's got to be won in the passing game.
Yeah,
Clemson is going to
you're right.
make sure they're not going to let Estime rush for 200 yards.
And if you look at their games, if you look at the games Clemson's already had, like they had the double overtime against Wake, and they ended up in a high-scoring affair up into 40s and 50s because they were getting burned deep. Wake is a team that has the ability to fling it around, and they were doing that, trying to minimize Clemson's defensive strength up front and expose them on the back end. I love the plan, but you can only do it if you could do it. You can only do that if you have guys getting open, a quarterback that sees him, gets in the ball, and you have good protection. So, yeah, that would be the path. But with the wind and the way Notre Dame's set up, are they even capable of trying to do that?
Yeah, that's been the issue all year. I think we've come to the conclusion that we're real close, but the quarterback situation is just holding the entire program down. That's the sad part.
There is no way Marcus Freeman is oblivious to this. Like there's no way. Like, I know I would feel better if he got up there one week and went, listen, guys, in front of the media, We realize this room is not where anybody wants it, and we're working on it. Trust me. Like, I realize that he can't get up there and say that in a presser. I get that. I just hope he's got a little checklist, and then he puts it and tucks it in that fancy suit pocket. And after the season, we're going to be looking at a lot of little tweaks, changes, recalibrations, adjustments. That's what I hope to see, man, because there's some things that need to be altered.
Yep, definitely. But I think we're talking about rushing numbers. I mean, if they could be like a little over like 150 and make some timely pass plays, I think we can win the game.
You need breathing room. Like, you need reasonable breathing room for later downs. Like, it just can't be 3rd and long and you let them pin their ears back. Notre Dame is dead. I think it's critically important on 1st and 2nd down. Notre Dame's gaining reasonable yardage. You know, like, they just can't get behind because you're totally done then. So if you're going with early down run plays, fine, but I need you to get 3 or 4 damn yards.
Yeah, and our defense might be more important than people are realizing because the field position. You know, the Ohio State game, I think we were starting at like the 15-yard line almost the whole game. If we can stop them and get good field position, that'll help the offense out a lot, I think.
Yeah, how do I say this? I have a very clear idea of what Clemson's going to try and do, especially defensively. It's crystal clear to me. That means if an idiot like me yelling into a rectangle this morning knows this, Tommy has to know exactly how they're going to try and defend him. And I need him to get one step ahead of it. And I just don't ever see him doing that. Like, the pivot to what they're going to try and stop off your main thing. That's where I need his mind to go. And it never seems like we have that figured out. It's, oh, what do you mean we're running into a brick wall every down? Now what do we do? No, have a plan and pivot.
John, if you in your basement and me at work calling you when I'm supposed to be working can realize this, why can't the genius Reese realize this?
I don't know whether he does. Maybe he does, and he's too stubborn. Maybe he does realize it, but thinks that he could scheme through it or that it'll still work. Or maybe it's just short-sighted, and he's not thinking how can you not think the way I do? What does Clemson think we're going to try and do the most? How are they going to stop it? What's our plan B and then C? I need you to have those plans. It can't just be plan A. And I don't see Reese doing a great job of that. And also, he doesn't have great talent to help figure it out. Part of his problem, too. But it's all tricky.
Yeah. Well, hopefully they can get the game plan right. It's our one big game of the season that we've had at home. And
we'll see. Hey, where are you going to be tailgating? Your normal spot in that, what was it, the library lot? Where are you guys at?
Yeah, it's called North Lot now because they're building a new building in the old library. So right across, like kitty corner across the street, they call it the North Lot. So there's a huge crane up in the air over there. If you head to the old library lot, you can see it.
Yeah, I know right where you're talking. You know what? I might have to link up with you, man. Like, I think our big tailgates, I think it might get canceled because of the weather. They don't want to set up the bar and get in there the night before and do all that huge setup if it's going to be that crappy out.
Yeah, we have a pretty good sized group that usually sets up. I got some neighbors that set up a lot of stuff. I don't bring as much stuff as them, but I'm imagining that they're probably not going to want to bring all their stuff too.
Yeah, we'll just have to see. But I'll reach out to you because I want to meet up with you guys. I always miss you.
Oh yeah, definitely. Just we'll text each other and see how the weather is and see where it goes. We definitely got all day, so
yep,
we can take a walk or we can meet up for sure, John.
Beautiful. All right, man. Thanks for the call. Have a good one.
All right, go Irish.
Go Irish. We'll see you in a couple days. 703, you're talking to me. 304-786 next. Good morning.
Woo,
fired up, John. I'm fired up after that speech at the beginning, man.
I'm
here. I'm going in South Bend to win, man.
Dude.
I want to freaking go to South Bend.
Yeah. Let's go. I'm sorry. I'm getting that big game energy, man. Even though Notre Dame's not like undefeated with everything on the line, it's still a big game and a big moment and a big opportunity, and I'm getting worked up. Am I overthinking it? I'm open to that. You be honest with me, man. Am I overthinking this the way I'm analyzing this setup? Tell me.
Well, I don't think I'm not trying to roast Clemson, but I don't think they're quite as good as they were in 2018 and 2020. I think there's a little more room for error in this game than there has been in the past.
I would agree. I would agree with
confident.
you. I would agree with you on that. Like, there's no way this is close to the Clemson team we played in the playoff. Like, no. This isn't that, but I still respect what they are. And while you're saying they're not what they used to be, I would also say Notre Dame's worse than we used to be. Like right now in the dynamic we're in, Notre Dame's knocked down a level from even what they were under Kelly right in the moment. So what gives you optimism here? You think we'll be able to run the ball or what?
Terry Pogs are back, man. Like after that Syracuse game, I'm pumped up to see this O-line come out. I'm pumped up.
Dude, I'm just telling you, man, it is my biggest complaint. O-line U is all I hear about. But when we play the best teams, they do not move anybody and they get dominated. I really, really react negatively to that being our bragging point when every time it matters the most, it doesn't go well. Am I being a jerk, or is that a fair criticism and worry? It has bothered me forever. O-line U is our line, and we brag about it. And then in the biggest games, it's third and long every single time.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I could hear it in your voice, like the depression. like I could just hear you like, oh man, that's a good point. Like, hey, I ain't trying to bring you down, but until I see Notre Dame's line dominate a really great, good opponent, I got my doubts.
Well, this might be a foolish thing to say, but I'm hopeful that Hine can complete some passes. Because I feel like that our wide receivers, our young wide receivers that are like more talented than the guys that are starting, they're finally getting to play more. Like Deion Colsey's starting to play more. Tobias Merriweather's starting to play more. I'm hoping we can have like more shots. Like I know we lost the Stanford game, but Merriweather's touchdown catch in that game. I'm hoping we can have more stuff like that. Because we're playing a weaker secondary than we did against Syracuse.
You know what,
hopefully
too?
We can have more.
Here's the other thing, man. You got last week, Colsey stepped up, had a few good catches. And then you got Merriweather, in the mix. Is this not the week you take a few shots to those guys and let them make big plays? You got a couple big body young guys that want to go get the ball. I think you're going to need to, at a minimum, try and show Clemson you're not afraid to try and go deep. I think you give those guys a couple shots a half just to keep them honest, if no other reason. Do you agree with that, or am I being reckless?
Yeah, I think you're right. And can we please use the screen pass? Please, Tommy, please do some screen passes to Tyree.
Yep.
I really feel like you can stop the blitz.
And when those are a great in-between pivot, right? They have that defensive front that's going to want to pressure the line of scrimmage. Some of those well-designed screens, a tunnel screen, a little slip, get a couple blockers. Should be an easier pass to complete in rainy or windy conditions. Get blockers out there. That's a way to get those guys engaged. It's a way to get Pine easy completions. Is that a part of the game plan? I love your idea. But is Reese going to dial that up?
It better be, man. Like, the same old stuff won't work against a top 10 team. Like, we saw that against Ohio State.
Yeah,
Just please a bit.
Yeah, and then flip it over to the other side of the ball. Very similar dynamic. Notre Dame's got to stop the run. If Will Shipley gets loose on them, or their offensive line turns into O-line U and starts pushing us around, if the weather's bad. That's a death knell too. So you can't let that happen either.
I really think our linebackers got to have a good game. Like, JD's got to show up. Kaiser's got to show up. Merritt's got to make some plays. I'm not worried about our D-line, but it's just our linebackers that worry me a bit, man. Like, they're a little inconsistent compared to the D-line, I feel.
Yeah, it's everything with Notre Dame's inconsistent. I just can't trust anything, man. That's why looking at these games has been so hard. Notre Dame's so up and down and inconsistent week to week right now. It's just a lot. You don't know what you're going to get. And I don't know where to start. I don't know where the baseline level of play starts is the issue with which to look at this. So I don't know. I'm hopeful they come out and play good at home and everybody's engaged and it's a great game. I just need to see it to believe it. And I think that's fair.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just hope that the ACC refs are better than they were against Syracuse. I hate complaining about the refs.
It was bad.
I'm a Michigan fan, like we don't lose, we're out of time. But man, they're missing so much holding calls on Fox, on Mills.
Listen, I was watching. What was it? Hey, 843. I got you. By the way, where was it? Irish Illustrated, one of those guys, Priester, one of them, longtime Notre Dame inside guys, was going off on those refs, saying that he was told before the game to watch out for the ACC balancing things out on Notre Dame not being a heavily penalized team and Syracuse being a very heavily penalized team. Somebody told them, those Notre Dame beat writers, watch out for the ACC crew leveling this out. And Notre Dame had like 2 or 3 penalties in the first drive right away. Like, I'm just saying it's out there that there's a perception that that's going on. And the Notre Dame beat guy said he was told, watch for this, because it's a thing that those refs were told to balance out. And it certainly looked like it did. There's no way Syracuse goes from 10, 11, 12 penalties average a game to not getting one till mid-third quarter against Notre Dame. No way in hell. No way in hell. That's illogical. That cannot be.
Yeah, I hope that Jack Swarbrick had a good long conversation with Jim Phillips and said, hey, if this doesn't change, we get to pick our refs for these games, man. We can't get screwed out of the playoff next year because of ACC refs if we lose in Clemson or in Raleigh, man. Like, that would make me lose my mind.
Yeah, I don't know, man. So I don't know what we're going to get. I'm excited. I'm open to this. I want us to play good. Got to believe it. I got to see it to believe it. And I think that's as fair as I could state it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm going down to Chicago tomorrow morning, and then I'm driving over to South Bend. This is my first game since 2013 because I couldn't believe in Kelly for a while. Like, and I didn't want to spend my hard-earned money seeing us lose another big game. So
I can understand that. Mm-hmm. Well, that'll be fun. You got a good place to stay then if you're going over tomorrow, you said?
We're going somewhere in Michigan to stay, and then we're going to drive down.
Yeah, a lot of people are doing that now, and it's an easy drive.
Yeah, I'm hoping we can stop by your place on Friday. That'll be fun. Dude,
I got your number off this. I'm just going to have people over, kind of open house, coming and going, have a beer, have some food. People come and go as they want throughout the night. That's what I think it'll be. I'll shoot you a text.
Awesome. What do you think about the special teams? Like, do you think that the wins will affect the kicking at all? Because I know they have a really good kicker. So if we can limit it, hit, like, hopefully not let them kick, like, from 50, do you think the weather could affect that?
Hey, I wrote last night an article for USA Today saying if there is iffy weather, what does it impact and how? I put in there with the kicking game, I put in there this could end up being like a 9-iron into a crosswind in the PGA Championship, where you might have to judge the wind. There's slick balls, so to speak. You got some slick balls. You got the wind, judging punts, judging kicks going out of bounds, field goals. extra points. It's all up for grabs if the weather's iffy.
And I'm so happy we have Brian Mason right now because, man, we could really disrupt their punting game, and we could hopefully get a lot more short fields for the discount estimate or like we did when we blocked the punt against Syracuse. If we can have a few of those, man, that would really turn the game in our favor.
Yeah, it really would. And I'm telling you, Mason has been such a pleasant surprise. That is a plus nationally relevant special teams unit that makes big plays every week. Now I'm going to ask him to do it against a really, really solid team in a huge game. So let's see if we could get it.
Yeah, man. Like, I've been talking to Clemson guys. I had one on one of my shows, and they're worried about special teams, man, because their punter has not been great. So that's what makes me even more excited about the punt blocking.
We could use one. Anything you could do for short field, steal some possession. So we'll see, man. But it's going to be exciting. Have a safe trip in, and we'll see what happens.
Thanks. Excited to see what Pete has to say. I talked to him last night, and he's very confident. So hopefully you guys can have some good back and forth.
Yep, we'll see. I got him. I think I got him coming up soon. So we'll get it. It's always fun with him.
Mm-hmm. All right. I'll see you later.
All right. Safe travels, man. Oh, we got the Nature Boys here. Go Dogs. My shoes cost more than your house. Woo! And what I love about the Nature Boy is whenever I see the Nature Boy in the chat, what the heck? I forgot what I was going to say. Something's going crazy on the call-in. We're going 843, and I think judging from that area code, I think this is our Clemson guest. Let's verify. 843, you're talking to me. Good morning.
My favorite Irishman, John. What's up, buddy?
What's going on, man? Everybody's been asking for you. Everybody's been expecting you. First questions first. How was Las Vegas? Did you have a great time? I know you're out there.
Yeah, it's bittersweet, man, because I'm bummed. Well, first of all, I'm excited for the game this weekend, but I'm bummed because I was supposed to be there with you this weekend.
Yeah,
now I'm not going to be.
You know what, though? You might be
yeah.
glad if this weather turns out as crappy as they're saying. You might have lucked out, man. Figure it out another year because it could be bad. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the first or the last time I saw Notre Dame play in person against Clemson was in a hurricane. So, the weather's not that big of a deal. I still would have liked to come, but I chose sin over Jesus, over touchdown Jesus.
There you go. Then you just need to repent, and then you'll be back in everybody's good graces.
Yeah, I can see when I die and I go to the pearly gates and I'm standing in judgment before Jesus. He's going to go, you remember back in 2022 when you had a chance to go watch Touchdown Jesus in person and you chose to go to Sin City and said, I'll be banished to 20 years of purgatory for that.
There you go. I like that. Good. It was a good choice, though. It looked like you had fun. I saw your pictures. You guys did hiking. You did all sorts of stuff. It looked great. Good for you.
Yeah, we had a good time. Went to the Grand Canyon. That was a lot of fun. And then, of course, I lost all my money. So now I'm broke.
Well, that's the way it goes. More call-in shows, man. Keep them super chats coming,
Yeah. Speaking of that, I want to say how big of a fan I am of this call-in show. Congratulations with it. You do a great job with it.
Thank you, man.
I'm not always.
I appreciate that.
I'm not always like interacting or commenting, but with my normal routine, because our shows overlap with each other. So my midday show starts at 11 a.m. and you're on from 10 to 12. So when I come up to my studio about 30 or 45 minutes before my show starts to get things organized and, prepare for the show and whatnot. And I usually just turn your show on and just have it playing in the background while I'm doing stuff. And I really enjoy it.
Oh, thanks a lot. You know what, man, like in the Notre Dame niche, in the Notre Dame media niche, the one thing that we didn't have was a call-in show to just give everybody a voice. There's a lot of people that want to hear themselves. You know how this goes. There's a lot of people that just want to hear themselves and they're not open to hearing anything else. And I just thought there was a niche there. And I got to tell you, I don't think it would happen without you. I mean, you're one of the guys when I first started going and the channel started growing a little bit. You gave me advice. You answered my questions. You told me how to navigate certain things to get going. And I really appreciate that. So a part of this all growing is some of your direction. And I always appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely, man. You're one of my favorite. You're my top 5 favorite YouTubers. So,
I appreciate that.
Say a minute ago that you're writing for the USA Today.
Yeah, so I signed a deal with the USA Today Fighting Irish Wire. So that's their Notre Dame outlet for USA Today. So I do a few articles a week to put up on there to get some traction in print. So I started that right before the year this year.
Okay, well, that's cool. I take back everything I said about sports writers. Okay, yesterday on my midday show, I was trashing sports writers. So I'm sorry, I take it back.
But you know what, man? You know what? It is wild how different the process is of hitting record and just talking and letting it come out versus sitting there on a blank canvas with no time restraints, trying to type your thoughts into words. It's a totally different challenge mentally. It's interesting. It's just totally different.
Yeah, I can see that. I'm definitely better equipped to turn on the camera and just let my gums flap.
Me too.
Than sit down and write. I don't have the patience for that anyway.
Yeah, I know. It's a learning experience because I'm new to that, but I'm having a great time with it, and it's a good way to reach a different strain of people that I normally wouldn't reach. So it's been good. So Pigskin, let's talk Notre Dame Clemson. I want to know from you, what's your confidence level in Clemson this year? How do you feel about them? I mean, they're undefeated, but I feel like they're getting overlooked nationally. You know, Tennessee's exciting, shiny new thing. What do you feel about where they're at right now the year's gone?
Well, I can't believe we're sitting here. It's November already. The season's almost over. We've only got a few weeks of regular season left. It's really unbelievable how quick the season went. But Clemson is who they are this year. I mean, I feel like that they've underperformed considering the level of talent that they have on the team. Really, one of the bright spots up until the Syracuse game a couple of weeks ago was the way that DJ was playing. I mean, he played terrible last year. We all know the whole story with that. With the exception of the Syracuse game, he played amazing all season long. I mean, going into that game, he had like 18 touchdowns, 1 interception. He was completing 70% of his passes. He's rushing for 40 and 50 yards a game on top of that. I mean, the guy was really just playing the way that we thought he was going to when he first came into Clemson, right? And then that game happened, and oh my God. Your flashbacks of 2021 happened. Now, I think that was an anomaly. I don't think that he's going to play that way this weekend. At least I hope he's not going to. I mean, he played bad enough to get benched for the true freshman Cade Klubnik to come in and save the day. But
now, what is? Can I ask you what with DJU? We saw even in 20. When Lawrence was out and you guys came to our place in the COVID year, he threw for 440 yards or something, like as the backup. Was this an offensive line regression that like caused him not to be trending straight up, or was it his own development, or like a little transitional year, or is it just like on track and guys struggle once in a while? Don't worry about it.
Well, last year it was kind of a perfect storm of problems for the Clemson offense and DJ himself. I mean, he had injuries all year long. He had a broken finger on his throwing hand and still played through that. He had a knee injury. The offensive line was absolutely atrocious. I mean, and DJ, I don't know if you heard. There's a running joke in Clemson land. I don't know if you've heard, John, but DJ lost about 25 pounds in the offseason. Did you know that?
I know it, and I've seen it. It's obvious. It's very obvious when you look at him. That frame looks way, way different than 2020 when he was here. Does that help him or hurt him? More athletic, more nimble, faster, or is he more susceptible to get banged around now? Which is it?
Well, it definitely helps him. He's more nimble and he can navigate the pocket better and and escape pressure a little bit. And yeah, he's not a fast guy. He's never going to be. He wasn't given that God-given talent, right? He's slow. He even admits he's slow. He's a big guy. He reminds me a lot of almost like a Ben Roethlisberger type body, you know.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's a running joke. It's a running joke because on every single Clemson broadcast, the announcers remind everybody 10 times during the broadcast that DJ lost 25 pounds in the offseason. So it's a running joke amongst Clemson people. But yeah, I feel like that there was, like I said, a perfect storm of terribleness on offense last year. The receivers didn't play well. I mean, our number one running back was a true freshman, Will Shipley, last year. The offensive line was bad. DJ played bad. It was bad all around. I mean, they had the worst offense in the ACC. If that tells you anything, in 2021.
How is that even possible? How is that even physically possible with the talent that is just in and around that program? That's mind blowing. That does tell me, that does indicate to me what you said, where you have, if you're in that dynamic with the talent that's around that program, you're right. That means you have one or two or three things that are all in the mix together that aren't quite lined up to get to that point when you have that amount of talent, raw talent around. It seems like that offensive line stabilized, gotten a lot better from last year, right?
Oh, well, it's miles better. We actually have guys playing a single position instead of rotating around like musical chairs every week. So, yeah, the offensive line's better. The running game's better. The receiver, everything's better. The receivers are playing better. We got the tight ends. We've got two really good receiving tight ends, and Allen and Barry Stool, who have been playing great. So, yeah, all around, it looks like the team that it should look like, with the exception of the last game. So, in my opinion, each week is all about matchups, right? I like to look at how does this particular team match up against Clemson here and there. So I feel like that Clemson matches up very well against Notre Dame.
So do I. And that's my worry. That's my worry. I don't like that because I feel like it does line up that way.
Yeah. I feel like Notre Dame should have a hard time moving the ball against this defensive line.
Me too.
And I heard you talking a few minutes ago about, needing to run the ball and how important that's going to be for Notre Dame. Clemson this year, they don't really load the box on anybody. They've been getting home with 3 and 4 and dropping everybody else in the coverage. Now, if they get into a situation where they're having a problem stopping the run doing that, they will load the box then. But look early in the game. They're going to test Notre Dame out and see how viable they are in the run game with just rushing 3 and 4 guys.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. The bye too. The bye is in my mind, man. I respect Dabo too much to think that with a half a month to sit on this, he is not going to be ready for what Tommy Reese is going to want to do. And Reese has not indicated to any of us that he's adequate at finding a way around it or pivoting or adjusting on the fly. So from the Notre Dame end, we're just worried they're going to try and run it into a brick wall. Then it's 3rd and long, and we already don't trust the quarterback. Pigskin, people are already calling for the backup of the backup to be the quarterback this week. Like, we're not in a good position in that room. And some of that has to do with the guy before, and some of it's bad development now. It's a little bit of everything. But that's the issue Notre Dame's going to run into. We do not trust the passing game. So if you can't run it at will, where does that leave you? Offensively, that's Notre Dame's concern.
Yeah, and that's why I say that I like the way that Clemson matches up, because if you look at the teams that have given Clemson trouble this year, it's teams like Wake Forest that throw it all over the yard. It's teams like Syracuse that throw it all over the yard. And no offense to Notre Dame, but you don't have Sam Hartman leading that offense.
Yeah, I just don't think I don't think we physically could even do that, man. Like, I'm just telling you where this is at. Yeah. The wide receiver room and quarterback room are horrible. They were left in a very, very bad place. Recruiting, development, and retention in those two areas has been horrific, and it all came to a head this year. Then you have injuries. They're in a really dark spot there, and it's not pretty. And I saw what you saw. I'm like, how did Wake Forest score that many points? Yeah, there was overtime. throwing the ball around. I don't know even if the weather's perfect, if Notre Dame can do that or will even be willing to try and do it. And that has me in wait and see mode.
Yeah, they're going to have to try to get Clemson through the air at some point. But if they're just going to try to run the ball 60 times, then the game will be over at halftime. But
yeah,
I don't know, man. I was telling somebody yesterday, I feel confident in Clemson's ability, the way they match up against Notre Dame, but there's more to it than just X's and O's on, the way it looks on paper. And let's face it, Clemson gets everybody's best shot. This is the best team that Notre Dame's played all year. It's at home, and I realize that Notre Dame has had troubles at home this year. You actually play better on the road than you do at home in 2022, which is kind of weird.
It is so upsetting, dude. It is so disturbing. I spend every waking hour asking myself how that is physically and emotionally and mentally possible. It's a real issue, man. When I did my breakdown of this game, before I even get into, on the field, what are we going to do? My number one question is Notre Dame going to show up ready to play at home? I'm just telling you, that's where we're starting at, that I have to ask that genuinely just based on what we've seen this year. It's upsetting.
Yeah. And I feel like we're going to get Notre Dame's best shot because I was telling somebody yesterday, I made the analogy, nothing's more dangerous than a wounded animal. And that's kind of what Notre Dame is in 2022. I mean, Notre Dame doesn't have anything to lose in this game other than their pride for losing at home and on national TV.
Yep.
But they can play the spoiler because I'm at the point now where I think Clemson might need to go undefeated, 13-0, in order to make the playoffs based on what's happening with some of these other teams around the country. On most years, I feel like a 12-1 ACC champ gets into the playoffs pretty much about 90% of the time. I'm not so sure that's true this year. And so Clemson really needs to win this game. It's a very important game for them. And really, it doesn't mean much for Notre Dame other than bragging rights.
Yep,
maybe help out with recruiting or something.
Yeah, that's really interesting. That you see it going that way, and then the dynamic also is obviously. I mean, Notre Dame's kind of an ACC game, but you getting to the point where even as a full-fledged Power 5 member, where you're saying we might have to go undefeated. Like, wow, that is a little bit of a changing dynamic there with that kind of pressure. But you're right, man. And I asked that before you hopped on. Notre Dame's almost playing with house money. If you lose to a team like this, It's like, well, that's what should happen. And that's why you have losses and they don't. Like, that wouldn't shock anybody. But if you're going to pull something off, then you can pull yourself out of the fire, put down those flames of playing like crap at home, build a little momentum, get people excited. But my question with that is, I never see Notre Dame coach a game that way. We talk about it as fans, like when we know Alabama has the talent advantage, you're going to have to take some chances in the playoff to stay in it. They never do. They don't. It almost felt like, how do we keep this loss close rather than let's take chances to try and win? So that's a big question I have is I think Notre Dame's got to be a little uncomfortable, push themselves to try some things that they don't feel confident in to get over the hump this week. I don't know if they're willing to take them chances.
Yeah. That's really what worries me the most is that all the pressure is on Clemson this week. Now, the good news is if you're a Clemson fan, is that for whatever reason, Clemson seems to play better in the bigger, brighter light games than they do in the 12 o'clock game against who gives a shit State, right?
Yeah.
So I feel like Clemson will be ready to play. The bye week came at a great time. I mean, Clemson is very fortunate to have a bye week leading into this game because they needed it bad. I mean, they played 8 straight weeks. They were starting to get really banged up, and of course, it all came to a head with the massive amount of turnovers and just they just looked like they were ready for a break.
Yeah.
And so I think this last week, giving them an extra week to heal up and also prepare for this road game was huge for Clemson.
Yeah, and we talked about this in 2020. Dabo has a real respect for Notre Dame, and I respect him for his respect for Notre Dame. He likes coming to South Bend. I think he embraces it more than some guys do. And it's a big moment. And I wish it was more dynamic where Notre Dame has no losses or one, and this was a bigger deal on the ledger for both teams nationally. How do you get Notre Dame to play that spoiler role and really buy into that and go all out to try and ruin somebody's year? Like, that's depressing that your highest prize isn't you accomplishing something overall, but that's where Notre Dame's at. Use it as a motivational tool, I guess.
Yeah, during the preseason, I picked, I was doing the Clemson schedule preview and record prediction prior to the season, and I picked Notre Dame to win this game. I was looking at Clemson's schedule, and I said, I got to find a loss here because I never pick anybody to go 12-0 because it's more likely not to go 12-0 than to go 12-0.
Yep.
And so I said, out of all these teams on this list here, which one is most likely to catch Clemson slipping? And I circled Notre Dame. Number one, because it was on the road, and number two, because it was preseason before I got to see Notre Dame play.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
It was before the two losses that you shouldn't have lost.
Yeah.
So I've obviously changed my opinion a little bit on Notre Dame compared to the preseason. But at the end of the day, this is not, look, this isn't Pee Wee football. If Clemson can get tested by teams like Wake Forest,
Uh-oh, where'd he go? I think he cut out on us. Pigskin, the Irish got you. The Irish Clipper got you. I don't know what happened. I can't hear him. He's gone. I didn't mute him. I wouldn't mute Pigskin Pete. We'll see if he calls back. Shout out to Pete Ferris. A lot of people shout now, Pete. All right, he dropped off. Maybe Pigskin, if you're still listening, call back. I'll pop you back in. Oh, we got some Clemson folks in the house. Pete, let him know Taters by 50. Cade says that. We'll see. Call me back, Pigskin. There he is. I got you back.
Is the government trying to censor your boy? What's going on here?
Yeah, I don't know what it is, man. I got you. You're back. We're good to go.
All right.
You know what, man?
Whoa.
You know what? That reminds me. The first time we ever did anything together, I joined your show and my phone cut out in the middle. So we just have a thing going. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't even know. I'm trying something different here. I'm actually recording this for my channel, and I'm on my studio. I'm not even on my phone, so I don't even know how it sounds. But anyway,
you sound fine. Let me ask this, man. If Notre Dame were to win, what does that path look like? I could pretty much assure you it isn't going to be Notre Dame winging the ball all over because they haven't shown an ability to be able to do it all year. So what would that path be? Sloppy turnovers? Like you guys aren't good in the run defense 1 week? Like what is that roadmap as a guy who's watched Clemson 8 weeks for a Notre Dame win? What would need to happen?
Well, I think you're going to have to run it on defense. You're going to have to make DJ uncomfortable. If the weather's bad, we see at least in the last game, he's prone to fumbling. He wasn't before that, but the weather could change that. Special teams is huge. Our punting game, it might be the worst in the country. Now, maybe the past couple of games, the punting game has been a little bit better, but it's bad. I mean, it's real bad. So the special teams, you need to capitalize, maybe get a touchdown off of special teams, and do your best to make DJ uncomfortable, maybe make some bad throws. You just keep in his face. He doesn't really do great under pressure. He's done better this year, but look. If you give DJ a chance to have a clean pocket for 4 or 5 seconds, he can eat you alive. When he makes these bad throws and bad decisions is whenever he's under pressure. So that's really the key. Offensively, it's going to be a rough day for the Irish. I think you can't really be one-dimensional. If you're just planning on running the ball, it's going to be a long day. You're going to have to open it up some through the air.
Yeah.
Try to expose Clemson's really only weakness on defense is on the back end.
I don't know if you realize the extent of the quarterback issues. Like, I know I do a lot of things for effect, with the way I deliver. I mean, I'm telling you, man, it's rough. I mean, we're on the backup since game 2, but the guy's my size, and I ain't a big guy, doesn't have a big arm, isn't real fast, doesn't have a lot of experience, and he's under 50% completion in the last month. It's just an issue, man. I mean, some of these balls don't even make it past the line of scrimmage. The guy's shorter than me. I mean, we're in a rough spot there, and that's where I get hung up on. If you're not just going to be able to line up and run on these guys, where do you go next? And I think the only answer is Michael Mayer. Number 1 or 2 best tight end in the country, NFL guy, leaving early after this year. All that's going to happen. He's your best player. The issue is they target him even when there's 4 guys around him because he's the only guy. So, we got a quarterback deal where the ball ends up going to Michael Mayer and there's 4 guys around him. Doesn't even look for the other guys, the dump off with yards in front of him. We're dealing with a tough quarterback dynamic, man. And I don't know how you navigate that this weekend. I really don't.
So tell me a little bit about this quarterback's running ability, because I think that's really important too, to keep this defense honest.
Minimal.
Yes, but that's bad news for you.
Minimal.
Yeah. The 2 things that Clemson struggles with is guys that can throw it downfield, number 1, and number 2, mobile quarterbacks. So if you have to be able to do at least one of those 2 things if you're going to want to win.
Now you can try and run some stuff with him or give him some options to keep it or do that. But it is not going to be a bread and butter thing. It's not something they can rely on. It has not been a big part of this. Maybe once or twice a week, you'll get one where he keeps it and it throws somebody off. That is not going to be a staple unless it's a new one they put in this week because they know they're going to need something different. But he's not fast. Like, you're not going to be worried about that. He ain't fast. It would just be more of throwing off the numbers, on a play. And then the deep passing game, man, it's a struggle. Wide receivers are a struggle. The early in the year, man, we had like 4 guys healthy on scholarship at wide receiver. And I'm not exaggerating.
Wow.
I mean,
that's crazy.
You had the guy Kelly had in that wide receiver coach room doing a horrible job. Guys were leaving, like just getting out of that room and transferring out. The guys that stayed didn't develop. Then we had a bunch of injuries. You literally in the first month had like 4 scholarship guys and then walk-ons. And the quarterback problems. It's just been a very big struggle, man. Very big struggle.
Yeah, and how many plays on average is this offense running each week? I mean, is it 60? Is it 90? I mean, I have no idea. I mean,
I don't think it's up near 90. But the games where they run the ball well, that's their bread and butter, man. Syracuse, that was it. That was the bread and butter. For Notre Dame, they have to be able to move the ball a little bit in the run game for this to work at all on offense. There's no other way. They're going to have to find a way to make that happen, or this is going to be rough. You cannot put Drew Pine in 3rd and long. He is going to die, number 1. And number 2, it's just not going to go well. Like Notre Dame living in 3rd and long, they're dead. No, can't do it.
Yeah. So that's just another thing. So Notre Dame, they play a traditional sort of slow style of offense. And I don't mean slow as far as the players. I mean the amount of plays that they're running, because really the game plan for a lot of these teams this year going against Clemson, knowing that they have 10 guys on defensive line that can play first string virtually anywhere in the country, they're rotating guys in and out, keeping guys fresh. And so if you allow Clemson to rotate constantly, that it's going to be even a longer day. So the idea being that if you play fast and you play a lot of plays, don't give Clemson a chance to substitute, and those big guys get wore out eventually, and then that's advantageous to your offense. But if you're only running 60 plays a game, Clemson's going to be rotating people in and out.
Let me tell you where we're at. Let me tell you where we're at. With the inexperience that this quarterback has, we're playing one of them offenses where most of the plays, everybody's lining up, and then you have all the skill guys looking to the side at the sidelines for the play, Then they change the play. Then they all look back. Like, it's a methodical operation because I don't think they trust this quarterback to get up there and navigate on his own and check out of things. Like, it's very, very hands-on protecting this inexperienced, limited quarterback. And so I would be shocked if they go that way faster, just for that reason. Like, they're doing that look over to the sideline, slow, methodical thing almost every play. And it's a little tedious.
Don't you guys have a 5-star quarterback sitting on the bench, or am I thinking, is he coming in with this recruiting class?
Jesus Christ, neither. So here's the deal.
Neither.
Neither. Here's what I mean by neither. Tyler Buckner injured for like the 4th year in a row, going back to high school, ACL, losing a COVID year, then fell down the stairs before the blue and gold. Long story. Anyways, you got him. Now you got Drew Pine, couple guys behind him. In 23, next year, Notre Dame thought they were going to land Dante Moore. Dante Moore, depending on who you talk to, silent committed to Notre Dame, but then Nike showed up talking about Oregon, and the next thing you know, he's going to Oregon. Notre Dame has nobody right now for 23. May have to look at a transfer portal guy. 24 is the year they have CJ Carr, Lloyd Carr's grandson from Michigan, committed, but he ain't until 24. 5-star guy, but that's still a couple years out.
You might be having DJ Ukulele be your quarterback next year in the transfer portal.
Yeah, there you go, man. And then, the Michigan backup. People want the Michigan backup. You got who is it? McCarthy and McNamara. We got some Irish names. Bring a Mick name in, But the thing is, man, here's how I view this for Notre Dame. You got to stabilize the quarterback position, get an elite ceiling guy in, properly develop him. Have some guys growing around him together. This patchwork 1-year stuff, grad transfer 1 year like last year, that is a Band-Aid for Notre Dame. They need to stabilize that position with a high-end elite guy and develop them to really get this going. And you're not even going to have a chance to do that for a while. So you're in an in-between, and it ain't comfortable.
Yeah, I can understand the frustration for the Irish fans. I think the expectations set by the fans and maybe even the coaches in the offseason was a little bit out of reach, considering the fact that you're going through such a big transition with the entire coaching staff, a lot of roster turnover. I think Marcus Freeman is going to get it figured out, and we already saw glimpses of that, right? I mean, he's already recruiting better than Brian Kelly ever did, right?
Yeah, at Notre Dame, what it takes to navigate recruiting at Notre Dame, this is a night and day operation, night and day. And now this gets tricky, man. You know how this goes. Listen, Kelly is way better suited to recruit at LSU. And I don't mean better or worse or whatever. The way you can recruit at LSU is it just lines up with the way Brian Kelly wants to work and do things way, way better for him than at Notre Dame. So he may end up recruiting great and doing great at LSU. That doesn't mean that he wasn't lazy at doing it at Notre Dame. It takes extra work. He was not able to make those calls, send those texts, get on the plane and go visit guys as much as you needed to. That's just what it was. All right. So good luck at LSU, but he maxed out at Notre Dame. He knew it. We knew it. It was time for a change. I just hope Marcus can get it going, because you can't have a few years losing these dumb games, because you're going to lose any recruiting momentum too. So you just got to kind of hold on, you know?
Well, I mean, I've never talked to Brian Kelly and I've never talked to Marcus Freeman, but I can guarantee you, just by hearing them speak and their personalities, that Marcus Freeman is going to be a lot more attractive to a recruit than Brian Kelly's stale ass.
Yeah,
listen. You need somebody like that at Notre Dame. You can't have somebody who's a lazy recruiter or doesn't really seem into it, and that's kind of the vibe that Brian Kelly, I'm not saying Brian Kelly wasn't into it, but he doesn't give off the vibe like he is, he's just sort of like
You know what, man? Here's what it is. You're right. You're right. Here's what it is. And after Kelly left, a lot of Notre Dame beat people started saying this. It felt like it was a job. Notre Dame was a job to Kelly, like a stop along the way for Kelly, even though he stayed more than 10 years. I'm not trying to say it was quick, but it was a job. Everybody who's won big at Notre Dame looked at it as more than that. They really loved Notre Dame, made it about Notre Dame, not about them. And Marcus Freeman has more of that vibe. Lou Holtz had that vibe. Leahy and Parsegian, they all had that vibe. All about Notre Dame. Kelly's all about Kelly. And eventually that started bleeding through to where he wasn't happy. People around him weren't happy. The fans weren't happy. It all kind of got stale and everybody was ready for something new. And that's fine. Yeah. It's just, it's a lot on Marcus Freeman, man. Overnight, you're the new guy at Notre Dame. Good luck. Figure it all out. By the way, we expect you to make the playoff this year. Go for it.
Yeah, it's a rough job to have as your first head coaching job to go to Notre Dame. It's a special situation, but like I said, I think it takes a special type of recruiter and coach to succeed at a place like Notre Dame. From what I get, and again, I'm just an outsider looking in. I think Marcus Freeman has what it takes to do that. You know what's funny is that you mentioned earlier about how much Dabo respects Notre Dame and the history and the the university and whatnot. So you always hear people say, Dabo's going to leave as soon as Saban retires. He's going back home to Alabama. He's going to co-coach his alma mater, blah, blah, blah. I've always said if he goes anywhere other than Clemson, it's more likely to go to Notre Dame. Now, he's not Catholic, but he is a man of God. So I think he might be able to make an exception. Dabo loves him some Jesus now.
Yeah. Oh, hey, we know. I know that. I know Dabo loves him some Jesus. It gets him in trouble down there. But do you remember when in 2020 he made an effort to go get his picture taken with like the Rockney statue out of the stadium, and he was all smiles. Like, I really respect that he respects that. And you know what Notre Dame fans are thinking? Like, you're looking down the road in that way. Here's what Notre Dame fans are worried about. Marcus Freeman's an Ohio State guy. So what we're all worried about is he learns and works out all the kinks and the rough patches now. And then right when he has it all figured out, Ryan Day goes to the NFL, and then Ohio State gets Freeman when he's in his prime.
Yeah.
That's what we're worried. That's what Notre Dame fans don't want.
Yeah, can you imagine Marcus Freeman goes to Ohio State and Dabo Swinney goes to Notre Dame?
Oh my God, that would be wild. Something. You know what else too? I'm not letting this go. A part of me still wonders if Notre Dame's going to be in the Big Ten by that point anyways, to be honest with you.
Yeah, that's a good, yeah.
For money reasons, if nothing else.
I think you might have been convinced too. I was certainly convinced, prior to the season that Notre Dame was going to end up in the ACC with all this realignment going on. And at this point, I've given up on even trying to predict. All these teams go in different places. I don't think anybody knows where anybody's going until they actually make the announcement final.
It's wild. It's wild. And you know what else too? What do you make of, I'm sorry, but like Oklahoma Tech and Oklahoma, it's like, all right, good luck in the SEC. Like, if you're struggling now, things don't get a lot more easy for you once you jump in there, do they?
No.
Like, what do you make of that?
2025 or something.
What do you make of those big brand names jumping? And where does that leave Clemson long term with the ACC? Like, what is your feelings on that?
Something's got to give. If Clemson were to somehow leave the ACC, now there's a grant of rights. It's a whole big mess as far as how hard it is for Clemson to leave the ACC. I feel like, and they'll never say it. Dabo Swinney will never say it. Graham Neff, the athletic director, will never say it publicly. But I feel like both of those guys want Clemson to get out of the ACC. If you just look around the country, if you look at what's going on with Texas and Oklahoma, you look at what's going on with UCLA and USC, jumping ship. This is all about the almighty dollar because that's what this game is turning into the sport is turning into. It's always been about money, but the stakes are higher than ever in 2022 and beyond. The TV deal that the ACC is in is outdated and not good compared to these other conferences. So I feel like the smart people in the business, coaches and athletic directors realize this. I think that Dabo Swinney and Graham Metz realize this, and they want out if there's any way that they can do so. And I think that they would want to join the SEC. I mean, they obviously fit into that footprint, both as a university and geographic footprint.
Yeah.
So, I just don't know how it's going to turn out, though. But if Clemson ends up staying in the ACC for another 10 years or 12 years, or whenever the grant of rights is up, I see them falling behind. I mean, there's such a massive difference in money and revenue between the SEC and the ACC right now that eventually something's got to give.
Yeah, and that's where Notre Dame runs up against it too. Like if you were independent at an independent TV deal, and you're making $80 million a year less than in a Big Ten team, at what level can you no longer compete then? Just by pure resources,
Right. Maybe we could say the ACC if Notre Dame joined and they brought in some other team, XY team, West Virginia, whoever. I'm just naming another team, but having big brands in the ACC like Notre Dame, Clemson, Florida State, and Miami, if Florida State and Miami can get back to being somewhat relevant again, that would really bolster the conference up and give them grounds for renegotiating a better contract for TV, and maybe they can compete then. But it's not looking good for the ACC right now. Unless there's something going on that I just don't know about, things aren't looking good.
Yeah. Well, the good thing is if there are moves that have to be made, Clemson's a brand everybody would want. And so you're going to be able to make that transition if you need to, because everybody wants that brand, just like everybody would want Notre Dame, to join. And so let me ask this, Mr. ACC. What's going on with Miami? I thought they were going to be back. Why do they look so rough? Is it just a transitional year for them, or what are you seeing with them? It looks rough. What's going on up there?
I don't even know where to start.
Like I haven't watched them that much, but I didn't expect this. I thought they would get off to a little better of a start.
What's ironic is, DJ had that year in 2020 during the COVID year where he came in and played 2 years. He played against Notre Dame. He played against Boston College. He played great in both of those games. And so the 2021 year comes and he's going to be the solidified starter, right? Trevor Lawrence goes to the NFL. And so the expectations were so high for DJ. Heisman, he's like first or second in the Heisman odds leading into the season. And then he just went out there and laid a total complete egg the entire season long and was one of the worst quarterbacks in the country. Clemson, floundered their way to 10 wins somehow throughout the ACC. So this is sort of like what happened with Miami this year, because Tyler Van Dyke played 5 games last year, and during those 5 games, he was the best quarterback in the ACC. He had some ungodly. He was averaging 5 touchdowns a game. He had like 20-something touchdowns in 5 games, which is ridiculous. And so coming into the season with all the big name hires, Mario Cristobal and this all-star cast of coaches and Tyler Van Dyke and, some of these all-star players that stand out on defense, and the ACC being what it was and Clemson not playing great the whole hype around Miami this offseason is just a great example of people overestimating the ability of this team. And what happened, it's sort of what happened to Clemson last year. They came out flat, quarterbacks playing terrible with all those expectations, and they're brought back down to reality. Now, I'm not really surprised about it, but I think it's going to take time. Miami likes to run coaches off if they lose a couple of games, and they can't afford to do that with Cristobal. They need to give him some time.
Yeah, and I think the culture there is in a better place than it was when they were going through their really, really rough times. Like I feel like they've cleaned some of that out. So maybe it's just like Freeman, new guy, rough, needs some time, flip your recruiting, get things back on track. So I don't know, man, but back to Notre Dame, Clemson. I don't know what to expect. I really don't. I want to believe Notre Dame's going to show up ready and give a really good effort, the best that they can. Whether that's enough or not, I don't know. But there's just a lot of concerns, man. And you mentioned like how you were thinking about the schedule before the year. In my preview in the summer, I said, it would not shock me looking at the roster and knowing some of the holes we're walking into. It wouldn't shock me in a transitional year with a whole new staff. If you lose one dumb game, you shouldn't lose just because of all those loose ends that you're figuring out. Turns out it was two, Stanford and Marshall, two of the worst ones they could be. So I don't know, man. It's just a matter of if they show up and they're ready to play, you could have a good ball game in the second half. If not, Clemson could just kind of wear them down, grind them out, and it's ugly. And then you're on the plane going home, but you won and you keep it moving.
Yeah, and I would like to see nothing more. We've yet to see Clemson put 4 quarters together all season long. It's either, they've been pretty fortunate in a couple of these games. It's been either heavily dominated offensively or heavily dominated defensively. There hasn't really been a game put together on both sides of the ball where they leave no doubt. So I would like nothing more, no offense to all you Irish fans out there, than for Clemson to go and stomp a mud hole in them and make a statement. But considering everything that's going on, I'll be happy if they just get out of there with a win. I don't care if they win by 1 point. Just get out of South Bend with a dub.
Yep.
That's what I'm looking at.
Man, I always say that. I always bring up, like, when you're playing Marshall or Stanford or something, my bar of what I'm looking for in that ball game should be different than what you're looking at in a ball game like this. Like, this is one of them where you don't worry what it looks like. You take a 1-point win, no matter how sloppy, keep it moving. That extra applies to you guys because you have national goals still on the table. Get any sort of win and then get the hell out of town. So I don't know, man. You want to buy in. Notre Dame fans are begging to buy in. Not everybody, most people still are on the Freeman train and love him. You're always going to have the people, okay, he lost his second game of the year to Marshall. Get him out of here. He's never going to learn how to coach. Get him out of here. That's way too early. I want to buy in. Notre Dame people want to believe. They have not really given us a reason to this year. Every time you think, okay, we're trending up, reality hits and it's ugly. So Notre Dame fans are in wait and see mode, want to be engaged, want to buy in, but they need the team to give them a reason to. And especially at home, it's wait and see mode, Pigskin. We do not know what we're going to get. Nobody does.
Yeah.
So I don't know, man. I don't know, man. I would like to, it favors Dabo and his experience and coming off the bye and the matchups. It favors Clemson. There's no way around that. Maybe Notre Dame could come up with something. Football's football. A slick ball can fall anywhere. Who knows?
Crazy things happen, especially this late in the season on the road. The weather might not be good. I really believe that if the weather is questionable, that actually favors Notre Dame playing at home a little bit. Now Clemson does have the ability to run the ball, but I worry about fumbles.
Yeah. And again, like the weather, that brings a bunch of different things in the mix. All your special teams, you can't count on it. Like, it brings a lot into the mix, but it's just good to see two of these big brand names. I like them playing later in the year. And Clemson, you guys are in the middle of a playoff hunt. So you're going to be ready. I know that. I just don't know what we're going to get, man. And it makes it really hard for me to make predictions in the news, in the paper and all that, like, or on Irish Wire, because I don't know what we're going to get. We don't know, man. I follow this team every single day. I have no idea what you're going to get, how they're going to come out and look. No idea. Yeah. They're not reliable. You can't count on anything.
One thing you're going to get from Clemson, all right? Write it down, tattoo it on your forehead if you have to. But if you do tattoo it on your forehead, make sure you tattoo it backwards so whenever you look in the mirror, it reads correctly. But they're going to run DJ at least 10 or 15 times. Design quarterback runs. So if I'm the defensive staff at Notre Dame, I'm putting one of these linebackers to spy DJ because he loves to run. They give him carte blanche to do it. And to me, they shouldn't do that because DJ likes to run even though it's not his strong suit.
Yeah. Well, and you know what else too?
Every once in a while.
You know what else too? I'd like to run a lot more if I slimmed up too, man. I'd have a new confidence. Like I'd feel a lot like hell. It makes perfect sense. He's going, man. I'm lighter. I'm more aerodynamic. I'm getting on the move here. I like that. Notre Dame, good and bad with that, Pigskin. This year they've been good and bad at times defending those mobile quarterbacks. Pretty good against Schrader outside of one drive against Syracuse. But that has been hit or miss. BYU has a guy that could move too. Notre Dame's linebackers have not produced the way anybody wanted or thought they would this year. I'm not sure if it's coaching development or both. They're doing a lot of reading and thinking more than instinctual reacting in the middle level of that defense, and that is a concern. We do have multiple guys. You could say, here's your number one job. Spy that guy, and if he runs it all, hit him. Like if you want to make Maris Leofau's job that for the day, go for it. You can't miss him. Hawaiian with the big whole Palomalu hair, you can't miss him. Go ahead and let him do this. Notre Dame's tackling's been an issue. Not quite as tight on their angles and wrapping up this year. That could be something to look at.
Yeah, he's a tough guy to tackle. He likes to run downhill. I mean, he doesn't have moves, right? So he's not going to be Lamar Jackson out there, right? Breaking people's ankles. But he is, 6'5", 245 pounds, and coming downhill full speed at you. That's even for a linebacker or a safety. That's a tough load to handle.
Yeah.
So,
well, guess what, Pigskin? No. Guess what? Our quarterback's 5'8", 165. So what do you think about that? What do you think about that? And he's running it downhill on your ass. So be ready. You're getting all of that 162, baby.
I'm scared now. I'm scared.
Yeah. You're getting all that smoke, son. God.
John, I've got to run, but I can't believe I've been on the phone with you for almost an hour now.
I
apologize to all the other callers.
No. Every time we do this, it turns into, it feels like 2 minutes and it's 2 hours. No, I wanted to give you this time. I really appreciate you calling, and just a great guy. And again, I mean this. My channel wouldn't be anywhere where it is right now without your help. You were one of the first guys, and you could have been a jerk and said, I'm doing this. Why? I'm already down the road. Why am I going to help you out? You could have been like that, and you weren't. You always help me with questions, get me going on this, and I will always appreciate that forever.
Well, thank you, John. I appreciate it. I consider you to be a friend, so that's why I would always try to help a friend. I don't know how much help I can actually be to anybody. I mean, I'm not really in a position to be giving advice to anybody as far as YouTube goes, but if you ask me a question, I'll give you an honest answer.
Well,
but anyway,
I always appreciate your friendship, man. And then we are going to hook this up. Either I'll get to Clemson, or next time, whatever that is, you got to get here. We'll hook it up one of these times.
I promise. I've been trying to get there for two out of the last 3 years.
I know.
And somehow it keeps falling through. I'll get there eventually. But yeah, certainly if you're able to make it down to Clemson at some point, I would definitely meet up with you up there.
Beautiful.
It's about 3 hours away from me. So, yeah.
Fantastic. Well, thanks for giving us a call. I love hearing the other side of it. And it should be a really good ball game. Two nice programs here. So this is going to be some good football. Thanks for calling in, man.
All right, see you later, and have fun with the game, man. Be safe.
Thanks a lot. Take care. Have a good one. Pigskin Pete, everybody. Go subscribe to his channel. Subscribe. Good guy, man. Helped me out when I was getting going in YouTube, man. He was further down the road. Answer my questions. Help me out. So good guy. All right. I wanted to give him a lot of time. We do have a few callers. It's going to have to be quick because I have some things to do, but I'm going to get to some of you. 304-786-2669. Got to go quicker, though, but let's go. 304. What's going on?
How you doing, John?
I'm doing very well. Thanks for your patience. I wanted to give Pigskin some time there. What's your?
I always enjoy hearing him and his thoughts on the other side.
Yeah, he's a good guy, and I wanted to give him some time. But what do you think about all this?
Marshall game, I drove in from West Virginia, spent $200 in gas money to go there, $400 some for tickets for me and my great nephew and a couple of my buddies, and it was horrendous. The most horrible play calling I've ever seen. I really thought once Kelly left that we had a good offensive coordinator, but I was totally wrong. Unless he pulls his head out of his behind, I don't know. I just don't know what we're going to get. I mean, Pine, if it's wins like they're saying it's going to be, he's not going to be able to throw, which you can't throw half time anyway. But their weak side's the back side of their defense. The only way we're going to get to them is to be able to pass the ball to open up the running game. Without us being able to pass the ball, they're going to stack the box and we're done.
That's what, all right. The dynamic you're expressing to me is the one that has been stuck in my mind for like a day and a half. How do you navigate that? That is my fear. That's my fear.
The year when they played Marshall.
Yeah, like I see that too, and I just don't know where the pivot is or if Notre Dame can make one.
Well, I think we saw a turning point last week when Kelly took that time out to save time for his offense. He was already thinking we need more points. So that shows me that he's just not letting Reese make all the calls anymore. He's taking control of some of the offensive calls. I really believe that. Just by the way, hey, Reese wouldn't put none of the younger cats out there wideouts, which is tall. All you got to do is run go routes or post. How hard is it? He kept saying they're not ready. But then when he puts them out there, they're scoring touchdowns. So it's on Reese. I don't know what his problem is about it. But, them jokers need to be in there and playing. If you got tall guys in there, you're going to make them think twice. You complete a couple passes to them.
Yep. It's a requirement. Notre Dame's going to have to stretch that Clemson defense, if for no other reason than just to keep them honest. Even if you're not hitting on deep balls, I think you got to throw a couple each half at least, just to make sure that it's in their mind. You're not afraid to do it. Like, I don't even know if they'll let him do that. I don't even know if Reese will let him dial up and do that.
They need to come out first play of the game, do a RPO, something they hardly ever do, and that drives me crazy because every other college team does it and it works effectively. But for some reason, Tommy Reese wants to run these pro-style offense, and it's harder to grasp for these young kids coming out of high school. There ain't no reason they're confused about play calls and stuff. Dumb it down for them. That's a bad expression, but make it easier for them to – it ain't hard to take 7 steps out and cut left or go up and do a post or do a corner route. It's not hard. It's not rocket science.
Do you
Tommy Reese thinks too much into everything.
Do you feel like Tommy Reese sometimes structures this offense for what he wants it to be in a perfect world rather than what it can be with what we're actually working with? Because I feel that sometimes.
I absolutely think that.
I think that all the time.
He wants to be able to run his offense and not design his offense around the players that he has.
Yeah.
He wants to run a certain style to show the NFL people that he's so smart, and all he's doing is hurting our team.
Yeah, I that was my issue. Even before Buckner was hurt, I thought that was going on. It looked like they wanted to set up an offense in a perfect world, what he wants it to be, rather than what we can actually run. And I just need a pivot. Like, if it's windy and cold or rainy this weekend and we're going to try and run the ball, the pivot off that, maybe we could get into like some good creative screen games, something like that, where it isn't like deep passes, but it's something different. Like, I just need to see an effort to try something, because what they want to do, they're not going to be able to just line up and do all night against Clemson and have it work. It ain't. You're going to have to do something.
Agree. The thing is, if they would do what they did against North Carolina, bringing the backs out of the backfield and hitting them on quick plays coming out of the backfield, that worked great against North Carolina, which their defense is nowhere near what Clemson's front seven are. That's hands down day and night. But if they can get them quick hits out of, especially Tyree coming out of backfield, or even line him up in slot, for God's sake, give him a quick in route or something to where he can just catch the ball and make something happen with his speed. They don't do none of that. It drives me nuts.
Yeah.
He only wants to run straight up the middle, A gap, B gap. That's all he knows. He does nothing else. He don't pull. He don't shift. He does nothing when it comes to the runs. It's ridiculous. Everybody knows what he's going to do.
Yeah, it's very, very frustrating. Let me ask you this, big picture. Do you believe Marcus Freeman sees all of the offensive issues that we complain about, but he feels like he can't really address them fully till we get through this year? Like, I'm open to that. I'm open to the idea that he sees it all, knows there's problems too, but what do you want him to do in the middle of the year with the offensive coordinator? Like, I don't know.
I believe that totally.
You know?
They've got to run with what they started with now because of that's what they've learned for this year. But something needs to change next year. If they're going to let him be head coach, where they screwed up is they hired Reese first and then they hired him. It should have been on him to handpick the people he wanted if he's going to fail or succeed. Instead, he was handed this one, and you got to work with him, and you guys are going to be kind of like, behind the curtain, it seems like they're co-coaches, co-head coaches, and that ain't the way you run a team.
You
got
can't.
one head coach, and everybody else has to live up to what they did great or live up to what they did wrong and deal with it and make the adjustments needed.
I see things exactly the way you do. Marcus Freeman, it's hard being a first-time head coach, finding your voice, finding your confidence, bringing up things that are uncomfortable, having tough discussions with your friends, all right? But Marcus Freeman's the head guy. It is his name and reputation on the line, and it's Notre Dame football's reputation on the line. You hired Marcus Freeman. He needs to have the flexibility to make the decisions he needs to make. And if he doesn't, and there's other people involved, this is all screwed. Marcus has no chance to succeed then. If he's the head guy and he doesn't have autonomy, you're screwed. You're all screwed.
He's going to be a great coach. They've got it all screwed up. He's going to be a great coach if they just let him coach. The thing is, if you remember back, Reese flew down to Miami to talk to Cristobal. He said he didn't do it, but a lot of people said he did, whatever. If that was true when he came back, I'm pretty sure if Freeman had any kind of power at all, he would have said, look, you're done. You're done. You're not in. You're out.
Now, he
has no power.
But when this question's been asked, people have said Marcus was okay with Tommy. That was not Jack forcing it. People have said Marcus had the choice and he was okay with it, keeping the Notre Dame pipeline, having a Notre Dame guy run through from, the old staff to the new staff, a guy that the players like and all that. I understand.
Well, that all makes sense, but I still believe that he was kind of forced on him because he was hired before Freeman was.
That's rough. It's
rough. I think at the end of this year, Swarbrick, Captain Jack's going to step back and take a look at things and say, all right, Marcus, you do what you got to do. If you want to keep Tommy, keep him. If not, go do you. Go get your people.
Yeah.
It's on you now. It's all on you.
Yep.
And they need to give him free reins to do what he needs to do to be a successful coach. He's already recruiting at a higher level than Kelly ever dreamed of. And, because of the stupid losses to the dumbass teams, pardon my French, that we lost to.
Yeah.
That's the reason why we've lost some recruits. And if we don't show up against Clemson, we got 50 recruits coming in from next year all the way to 25, I believe. There's a couple kids there from that class. There's going to be a lot of kids there watching that game and how it unfolds. And if we can beat them, that's going to hold gold for us and maybe sway some of them kids that decommitted to come back. Especially if we go out to USC and whoop their ass on the last game of the year.
Yep. There's a lot in the mix there, and there's a lot on the line. Listen, my big picture thing now, no matter what happens in the rest of the games in the regular season, I want to see some calibration, noticeable calibration after the year with Freeman. I need to see him take an honest look at where we're at, what parts of the program are trending up, down, or kind of staying where they're at. Like, I need to see some things happen so that everybody knows this wasn't good enough. The one thing, man, I'm telling you, I'm not open to is we get through all this, and then Freeman gets up there at the end of the year and goes, we're just running it all back and we're going to execute better next year. I'm going to have a stroke.
No.
I'm going to absolutely have a stroke. That tells me Marcus isn't getting it the way we are. That cannot be the answer that happens at the podium. We're going to keep what we're doing. I'm going to lose it. I'm going to lose it.
During that game when he was calling timeouts to try and save time for our offense to be able to score if we needed to. That showed me he knows that just pulling back the throttle and trying to coast across the finish line and win by 1 or 2 ain't good enough. You got to get points on the board. And I believe that when he went for that 3 early in the game and lost against Stanford, he learned from that too. You always take your points at the beginning of the game. You only go for it if you absolutely have to. You don't leave points on the field at the beginning, especially. I understand he wanted to come out and set the tone. We're at home, 4th and 2 or 3, I forget what it was. But he should have kicked the 3 points, and that would have been the difference in the game right there.
Yep. It's, I don't know, man. There's just a lot in the mix. There's a lot to consider, and that's the frustrating part. There is no quick solution to any of these bigger scale problems we're talking about. It's recruiting, it's development, it's coaching, it's retention. It's just all of it. And I don't know. So,
and players buying into what you're doing, when they see you doing the same stuff every week and it's not working, they're not going to buy into that. They're smart. I mean, they're Notre Dame students. They're smarter than most any other kid in any other college campus. That's why they're at Notre Dame. And they can see the problems going on, and when they're running the same drills that ain't working, they're not going to buy in. They're going to play half-hearted. And if they see you changing things up and trying something different, they're going to buy into that and play harder.
Yep. Hey, man, I like where your mind's at on a lot of this. So final thoughts. What do you expect to see Saturday night?
Well, if the weather's going to be like they're saying, I wouldn't mind even seeing some snow come in.
I don't know if it's going to get that cold. I was looking at that too. I think it might be rain. I don't know if it's going to be cold enough to even get it frozen.
It probably won't be in the snow on Sunday.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know, man. But
I've listened to you since before you even had your podcast set up this way.
Oh wow! So you're telling me back when it was you mean back when it was audio only? Audio only all the way back to those years pre-video?
Hey.
Wow.
I'm always annoyed. I miss them. The one on the plane, I laughed so hard I sent it to all my friends. It was hysterical.
Oh.
You got to go back to doing that every so often.
I appreciate you being such a long time guy, man. I'm running out of people that remember before video.
The tire store, the only tire you needed, they didn't have.
Yeah.
7 million other tires.
Tire World? How in the hell are you Tire World? You don't have a Honda Accord tire. It's the #1 most sold car in America, and the place is called Tire World.
So hard, my guts hurt.
There's
I was laughing because that's the same stupid shit happens to me every day.
It's just nothing's easy, man. Nothing is easy ever.
No, not with me, and we're kind of out alike because we absolutely, even though USC is our arch nemesis, I hate Michigan more. I think it's just because we don't play them as much and they're so close to Notre Dame.
Maybe that's it.
For the reason they kept us out of the Big Ten, there's a lot of hatred there for Michigan.
Yep.
One of my best friends is a diehard Wolverine fan, and we don't even watch games together. I can't be around him.
No, yeah, I can't do that either. It's rough.
We kicked him out one time and even closed the curtains when we couldn't even see the game. He went home.
Oh, I love it. But man, I really appreciate you being a longtime guy, remembering me before I even went to video and it was audio only. That means a lot to me.
Oh man, me and my brother-in-law would listen to you, and he'd be like, "This guy's pretty funny," and he don't even like football. I've got him to where he likes Notre Dame now, and he kind of roots for him with me. But he always hated football and sports. So I've got him into liking the Irish.
Good. Well,
I'm absolutely here in West Virginia. I have raised their viewing rates at least tenfold because everybody I work with hates the Irish, and I'm always bragging about my fighting Irish, and they watch hoping they lose every week, and for most of the time I always had the laughs.
yeah. Oh man.
But man, losing to Marshall and I had to go to work, that was brutal. The only thing that saved me is West Virginia lost to Kansas that same week, but Kansas ended up being fairly good till their quarterback got knocked out for the year.
Yep. It's rough. So I don't know, man. Let's see what happens. But I appreciate your call. Enjoy the ball game. Give me a call Monday. We'll go over it.
Yes, sir. And you have a good weekend, and go Irish.
Go Irish. Have a good one. Man, people are getting fired up. 269, you're on the line.
What's up, John? You got my comment pulled up and everything.
I got you ready to go, man. I got you all set up.
Is that not a good question?
Have
you thought about that?
I have not thought about it because I'm so worried about our quarterback situation. I can't even spare the worry to worry about theirs. Like, honest, but if we're in any sort of position where DJ's struggling that much that this is even in the mix, that's a great sign for Notre Dame. No matter how it ends, if we're in that position at all, Notre Dame's doing a lot of things right.
No kidding.
Where are you at with all this, man? Are you confident? Are you nervous? Are you wait and see? Are there parts of this you feel better about than others? Like, it's a tricky game to gauge. Where are you at on all this?
John, right now, I'm to tell you the truth, I'm just excited to go to the game Saturday and watch some good football. That's just kind of how I'm taking it. I kind of like what you were saying earlier with, it's like, I just hope we play well. If that's enough to get it done, then that's great. But if it's not, I mean, as long as we're, still on the upward trend, usually I'm not so sort of kind of take it or leave it kind of situation. But I'm just excited just to watch the game unfold and the game go, more so than anything. It's kind of at a point now where it's like we've had a couple losses already there. The pounding doesn't feel the same anymore, at least for this year. So that's kind of where I'm at with it. I do think that I do worry about, our game plan just with the weather and, Drew Pine can't shred people when it's, 75 and sunny or in a dome or wherever. So what's he going to do when it's downpouring rain and against the best defensive line in the country, them loading the box?
Right.
Drew, like I said, Drew hasn't proven to be that guy when it's the most ideal conditions, unless it's against North Carolina. And as you know, I always say the Irish kill at Chapel Hill. So I think that
I like that. I like that a lot.
Yeah. But, to tell you the truth, what I really want to see out of Saturday is I want to see confidence by two specific guys, and I'll go into them. One on offense, one on defense. Which one do you want to start with?
Go offense.
What is going through Lorenzo Styles, number 4's head right now? He is somebody that I'm concerned about, and I'll tell you why. I'm concerned because I understand why he's frustrated. I think that there is a good argument of why he's frustrated. But I just hope that he's been getting kind of coached into, it's like, hey, when your opportunities to make plays are there, you got to make them. Okay, you're frustrated. You only get a couple opportunities a game. Well, You know how you fix that is
Make
you take
'em.
advantage of those opportunities that you do have.
Yep.
And I think that he is somebody that is going to be so important for that wide receivers room in the next 2 years. And he's somebody whose head is just not in the right place right now. And I don't know, maybe I'm sure we got that Notre Dame has some sports psychiatrists and whatever sort of resources that they have, but he needs some sort of attention that's more sort of psychologically. And like I said, I think it's perfectly normal for him to be frustrated. I think that I would be frustrated if I was in that position, but you know, he needs to have the sort of mindset. It's like, hey, you know, you can't drop that screen pass. You can't drop the wide open ball. I get you're only getting 4 targets and that's pissing you off a little bit, but you got to make the plays.
He was supposed to be the alpha dog in that room that ascends to being a legit number 1 guy this year. That was the expectation. When you listen to all the beat writers and all the previews in the summer, it was, he's that dude. He's going to emerge as a bona fide number 1 that you can rely on. That has not happened, and that's a concern. Now, let me ask you this though. How much of that has to do with him, and how much of it has to do with the offense overall? That's a frustration too.
I think it's,
you know, these guys are probably going, how many times I got to get open and the guy didn't even see to throw it to me before I don't run hard the next route. Like, I don't know. I'm just saying it's got to be very frustrating.
you know, I think it's I put equal weight on both, because I do think that he has something going on that might be a little bit more that transcends football, and it's more of, you know, a thought process sort of issue, you know, that I think that has been a factor because of the way the offense has been in general, to your point. So I think that it's a little bit of both. And I think that he just needs, you know, and I think he'll get there. I really do. But he just needs some extra effort from the coaching staff of being able to respond to not as ideal situations a little bit better.
Yeah, it everything with that offense, especially in the passing game, is such a struggle. It's just everything looks so hard to get accomplished. Everything just looks hard as hell to do, man. It just looks hard. Completing a pass looks hard for us.
Yeah, and you know, you can just see the body language of these guys too, you know.
Yeah, it's tough. Let's talk about defense for a minute, and then we'll get a score prediction from you. Are you confident we're going to be able to stop their running game and Will Shipley to a decent extent, make DJU throw the ball to win, even in windy weather? You know what that sounds like? Sounds like our plan against them. You know, are we going to be able to flip that and stop them?
Yeah, you know, I hope so. I think that the front will come ready to go. I think that, you know, our secondary seemed like was going to be early on the strength of our defense, and I think that they've taken a few steps back as our front has taken a few steps forward. Specifically, Isaiah Foskey, if he has a big game this week specifically, that will open up so many doors for him for the rest of his life that seem to have potentially, you know, been not as big as he would have hoped in the preseason. And I think that this could be a very good get-right situation for him in general and his future. But the guy that I struggle to understand what happened is what's Cam Hart's problem? He was like so good last year. One of the best players on the defense, probably top at least top 3 best players in the defense. After Kyle Hamilton was out, he was by far the best player in the secondary, and he's taken not just one step back, but it seems like a couple of steps back. And he's a similar guy with Lorenzo Styles, where I think that, you know, I think it's between the ears. He's got all the tools. We've seen him make the plays before. We've seen him been such a shutdown corner where they're not even going to try to throw at him. And now it's like, okay, we'd rather throw at you than the freshman Benjamin Morrison.
Yeah, it's I don't know what happened with him either. Is there any injuries or anything, or is this all just upstairs?
I think that he had some injuries in preseason, if I'm not mistaken, but that was, months ago.
Yeah. How about this? How about a big special teams play? It's been our most reliable unit all year. You want to talk about a big game, flipping the momentum, block one of their kicks, return a punt, do something. There's an angle.
Yeah, it is. There is an angle. I'm more so it's like, if I see Chris Tyree lined up in the backfield and see him run it right down the gut, I'm going to about lose my marbles. It's like we have guys to do that job, and I would rather have Chris do a different job than that. When you're in elementary school working in math class and you get a problem wrong or whatever, and the teacher tells you to show your work. That's what I want Tommy Reese to do on this A-gap run that he keeps slamming Chris Tyree into. It's like, you need to do something different with him, man.
Yep.
Show your work. Where you come into that is an advantage.
Why can he not be used? I'm not saying as a full slot guy, but why can he not be used in more of that type of role as an effort to spread out the carries of the running backs that we all like, and an effort to boost the passing game, which needs work? Why not use him in that role to get your best guys all out on the field at the same time? Am I crazy?
I agree. No, you're not crazy, and I agree. And to tell you the truth, I think that the actual answer is it's the fit with the quarterback. I really think that that's what it is. It's like you can't do some of the more read option based stuff that Chris specifically is very, very skilled at. You can't do some of the screen game stuff because our quarterback is spiking screens into the ground when he gets the opportunity. You could do a jet sweep, but that only works a couple times a game, and it's like, all right, Chris is a jet sweep guy. That's not predictable at all. I really do think it's just to fit with the quarterback. Like, for example, when we thought Tyler Buckner was going to be the guy, I thought Chris Tyree was going to be the man this year at running backs. But the way that, since I would describe him as more of a complementary type player, and with that, I think he can be a really, really, really good player. But it just depends on the fit. And right now, I just don't think that's there.
Yeah, it's a challenge. And so Notre Dame's in a position where they just need to finish this year out as strong as humanly possible. If a bowl game is in the mix, use it to get your young guys ready, whatever. It's not going to excite anybody. But I expect some public calibrations to be made after this year. Do you? I'm going to be really disappointed if we don't see some little changes here, adjusting from what didn't work after year one. I'm not saying an overreaction, but this is also more than just saying, oh yeah, rough first year, we'll do the same thing next year and execute better. There's more to this than that.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think it could start with coaching changes.
I'm not saying I know all the answers, man. I'm not saying I know what needs to be pivoted to, but I'm just saying it's obvious to me there's some things that aren't quite fully connecting right now, and they need to be really investigated after this season ends. And number one of them is the offense. Let's just be honest. Number one is the offense. And if it means we all agree we need fresh eyes on this, and Tommy would benefit from a fresh start out of the shadow of the dome he's been under most of his adult life, like, fine. But if it's we believe in Tommy, we want him to come back, if you're doing that, it needs to be with bumpers on the lane, with Cutcliffe there as an analyst to keep the goddamn car on the road.
Yeah, but we can't seem to get the right fit, no?
Nothing's ever the right fit. Nothing's ever the right fit in Notre Dame. What is the right fit?
Oh, I don't know. And I'll leave you with this. We haven't seen Notre Dame do a lot of kind of trick plays at all this year. I think we might see one this weekend. And I think would be a good one?
Yeah, I do. Taking that tight end little run and having him throw off it. That's what's in my mind.
That was exactly what I was about to say.
Yep.
You nailed it.
Yep.
Mitchell Evans, I believe he played quarterback in high school.
Yep. Think about it, man. Think about it. Why are you running that play? Why are you running that play against these other teams when they're, you know what I mean? When it's tricky and all that, unless there's something you could do off of it, building that up. That was my thought too.
I think they've already worked on it. I really do.
Yeah, I love it. That's the natural angle. Because I was going first, I'm going, why are you blowing that play in this situation? And then I thought about it and I'm like, wait a second. Maybe this is building something for later in the year against Clemson or USC. Like, I want to see it. I want to see it. It's creative. We need creative stuff because we're not good enough to just play boring offense and score 40. So I'm fine with this. Let's go.
All right, John, put your offensive coordinator hat on for a hot second. And, obviously where you are in the game and obviously that plays a factor, but obviously this is a short yardage situation. Would you rather do that in a goal line situation or to convert a fourth down, somewhere around the 35 to 40?
Man, if I'm doing that, some of it's situational. Obviously, we have to admit that.
Right,
like where you're at in the game. Is it the last drive of the game? Like there's a lot of that. But if you're doing something that nifty, I want points off it, man. If we're doing something that nifty, I want points. That could be like your 2-point trick play you work on. Like, I want to see that turn into points. I would love that.
All right, man. I know you got some other callers and things to get to, but I'm going to be in South Bend. I might shoot you a text if you want a link.
Yep, beautiful. I'll be there Friday and Saturday for sure. So I got your number, I think, already. I'll hook up with you. Where are you guys going to tailgate?
That's still TBD. I'm not quite sure what we're going to do yet. I'm not sure if I'm coming in Friday or Saturday from Chicago. My parents are just in Michigan, so it's not too tough to get from where I stay to the game. So I'm not quite sure yet.
Gotcha. Well, we'll be in touch, man, but it should be interesting. It's a big opportunity for Notre Dame. Let's hope they take full advantage.
For sure.
Well, have a good one, man. Safe travels. Maybe I'll see you over there.
All right. Take it easy.
See ya. Final call of the day, 734. Give me some more.
Johnny, what's up, baby?
What's going on, man? Sorry to make you wait. Hey. Where are you at on all this? What are you thinking? What are you thinking here?
Hey, I'm stoked, bro. Listen, this is all we got to do, man. Now, they call it establishing the run. We have to establish the pass. What I mean by that is we got to hold those safeties, keep those safeties and linebackers walking up from the line of scrimmage. Even if we don't hit, okay, they're probably going to play either too high or single high safety. So what we need to do is throw that deep post to Mayweather, what's his name, Merriweather, or get Colsey down, down the field.
Yeah.
Just to keep them honest. You know what I'm saying?
Yep. Nope. You got it.
Yeah. And then from there, that'll open it up because you get less people in the box because we're going to need to shorten the game, John. You know what I'm saying? We're going to have to keep their offense off the field, sustain some drives, get touchdowns when we get in the red zone, and turn them over defensively.
Yep. It's it's easier said than done though. Like how much faith do you have in Notre Dame's offense? They're going to be able to connect downfield in a 30-mile-an-hour crosswind when they can't do it in perfect weather against Marshall. These are the worries I have. These are the worries I got.
No, I'm right there with you, man. 2 out of 10, but you at least have to show the look. I'm not even worried about completing the pass per se. You know what I mean? Just at least
you have
those
to
safeties back, keep them walking them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you have to because you can't let them creep up on you forever. Then you're done. Then you're done. So and then what about defensively? What do you want to see Notre Dame do? Obviously, stop the run, number one priority. Will Shipley, and then get after DJ and make him feel the pressure, throw you the ball a couple times. Is that the roadmap?
Well, absolutely. We're gonna have to limit Shipley, and also on passing downs. we're going to have to be able to get there with 4 because we need help in coverage, John. Our secondary is it's one of the worst I've seen watching football this year. That freshman from Syracuse came in and shredded us. We just got lucky that Gaston and those guys were dropping passes all last week. But, Dabo's watching that film licking his chops.
Yeah.
So
I do not feel like we have, dude, do you feel like, I do not feel like that defensive front has been what we wanted them to be and expected them to be in terms of getting pressure, just rushing their front, not extra guys, but just their normal front getting pressure. I've expected more than we've seen.
I did too. Going into the season, me and my buddy would get around and, talk football and all. And I said, man, that's going to, Foskey and, Riley and those guys, I figured they're going to be able to get home all year without bringing backers or, robbers and vipers off the edge. I figured that would be the glue to our D. But, man, I'll tell you, man, for some reason, these guys aren't getting home.
Yeah. Yep. And then, and the other thing is too, man, special teams, third phase. There's one where Notre Dame could take advantage. I like that. I like what they're doing there. Steal a possession somewhere. We're talking about, creativity down on the goal line and all that. Get creative there. Steal a score, flip field position. If weather's a factor, all that stuff matters even more.
Oh, 100%. If we, like you said, if we could steal a possession or two, shorten the field, flip field position, block a punt, man. Let's block a punt and scoop it and score it this week. Get a safety.
Let me ask you this.
Sure.
Do you think Notre Dame will have more or less than 150 yards rushing in this ball game?
I'm going to say more because, again, I'm the ultimate optimist, man. I'm hoping we're going to be able to get out here and establish the pass. Because I'll tell you what, if they're not able to stack that box, we're going to be able to eat up front.
Yeah, you got to keep them honest, though. That's the problem. You got to keep them honest. And even if it isn't with you being good at the passing game, the illusion that you might be good at the passing game may be all it takes to open up some opportunities.
That's the illusion. Exactly. What we need to do, John, is do what the Steelers did probably about 15 years ago when they played the Colts in the AFC Championship. I'll never forget this. They were known for being this big bruising team, and they got the ball first, and they didn't they didn't run the ball the entire first possession. They went down to score. Man, they went and, they threw hops and smokes and inside tunnels, long handoffs or whatever. And then they just marched down the field. And that's something we're going to have to do. We're going to have to shake things up.
You know what, man? I think you're bringing up a good little in-between. We all know Notre Dame's going to struggle to throw the ball deep. We know they're not going to be able to just line up and throw it all the time. I think some of those creative little screens are a good way to go, but I just don't know if Notre Dame will dial them up or even knows how.
Well, we're going to have to, man, because we're not going to be able to, big boy ball like we did last week against Syracuse. You can forget it. But you try that, man, we're going to be down 31-0 at halftime.
Right.
And, we got to get fine to be able to connect them. I mean, come on, man. How are you skipping these screen passes to people, man?
I don't know.
We've left points on the board simply because we can't.
I don't know. It's rough.
It's frustrating. Yeah, it's frustrating, man. It's been a tough watch because I'm in lockstep with you on this. I watch other offenses. I'm watching like Kansas State and somebody else play. And I personally believe we have more talent than both those teams are in the field. And both offenses look so fluid. And it feels like our offenses were always struggling, to try and get 7-8 yards. You know what I'm saying?
Yep. It's a struggle, man. So what do you think's going to happen as I let you go? I got to get running here. We've already gone a half hour over. I love it. What do you expect? What do you think's going to happen? Do we keep it close?
Absolutely. Hopefully, we get a little help from the weather. They put the ball in the turf a couple times. Our defense. Hopefully, man, they come in and ready to play, and I think they will. You got the number 5 team coming in the country.
How can you not get up for that? How can you play football for Notre Dame and not naturally be jacked to the gills for this opportunity?
This is why you came to South Bend, baby. So
this is it.
I'm gonna get off here real quick, man. I'm just gonna leave you with this. I'm gonna go 26-17 Notre Dame. And we're partying in South Bend, baby.
Beautiful. I like that. Give me a call Monday. We'll see how it goes. Have a good weekend.
We'll do, man. Talk to you
later. Oh, last call of the day. 818. Rodney, what you got for me, man? Jumping in here.
Yeah, it's funny. Yesterday I started something, man, because when I mentioned that 10 to 17 point victory I was looking at, everybody was calling and saying the same thing. I'm like, oh no, what did I start?
Yeah.
If this doesn't work, I'm gonna look really bad. Then today I'm watching the show. I got on a little late, but I went back and watched. I didn't think he'd still be on, but I'm like, okay, he is.
Me neither.
I feel like it's not. I feel like it's gone in sort of not the opposite direction, but now I'm a little more worried about that pick. But I still think we're going to win. I don't know. I just think we're going to somehow pull it out. But I'm thinking 17 points. All the points everybody's bringing up about our strengths match up with Clemson's strengths. That's the problem. And,
matchups are a concern.
But I do think the one thing no one's really talking about a whole lot, man, and I just think that we've become so accustomed in the last 12 years under Kelly, the special teams have been a revelation this year. And I don't think we're quite, believing it yet, because it's like,
I am.
Well, when's the other shoe going to drop? You know what I'm saying?
Some people might not be, but I am, because I complained about special teams every single week under Brian Kelly. So I was eager to see something different. And you know what though, man, where these special teams plays are going to get Notre Dame more credibility and credit is when the team's better overall. And those plays are in big games with a lot on the line. I think that's where you're really going to see that get more attention. Now the special teams don't get recognized as much because it's like, we have no passing offense, and that consumes all of the talk.
Well, and it's funny, you just mentioned big games, man. There is a ton of big games tomorrow, right? I mean, you got Tennessee and Georgia. I would say there's like 3 top 10 matches. Maybe I'm off on that. But I know that, and this could have been one of them, obviously.
Well, don't you got Swamp Thing? You got Swamp Thing. Don't forget about him.
That's right. LSU and Alabama. That's the one I was thinking of. Yep. LSU, Alabama, Tennessee, Georgia. And, well, like I said, Notre Dame Clemson would have been one of those games. It's still a big game. We know that. I mean, they're 5-3. They could be 6-3. If they went out, they're 9-3. Now you're looking at a pretty decent bowl game. Maybe another citrus bowl matchup. I still hold that on the table. They still have that 10 wins on the table. And if they win tomorrow, it is realistic. I say tomorrow. If they win Saturday, it is realistic.
No, yeah. If they win tomorrow,
away from that,
it's a big salvage job. If you win this ball game, it's a big salvage job. And you know what you do? The only way you could attempt to recoup any lost credibility from Marshall and Stanford is to win a big ball game like this. It's the only way you could gain some of that back. It's the only way you could gain back somebody's faith like me, who doesn't trust you to play good in your own building and defend your home. Like, there's a lot that could be accomplished here, but you're going to have to play 4 quarters of damn really solid football. Really solid ball for 4 quarters.
When I was listening to Pigskin Pete and him talking about Clemson and how they failed to play 4 quarters of football this year, and I was just waiting for you to say, "Oh, who else has it?"
I know. I mean, it's just wild.
I think the more I think about it, man, I just think tomorrow's going. I think we're going to play well. I think we're going to play really, really well. And what I don't know that I was giving enough credit to is I think Clemson's going to play really well too, though. I just think it's going to be a classic game at that stadium. I think the crowd's going to be ready. And again, John, I go back to the fact that this doesn't always hold true, but it does seem to hold true for Notre Dame, I've noticed in the past. You've seen teams that lose a couple of games like Marshall and Stanford, and the coach loses the team. That's never really happened in Notre Dame. Even in their worst years, they've never just given up or thrown in the towel. There is a pride to play in there. And I just think that we're catching steam at a time when Clemson might be beat up a little bit. Now they had that bye, and that's why I think that this game probably will be a little closer. The more I think about it, had they not had that bye, I'm looking at maybe a dominant Notre Dame win. But I think that bye that they needed to kind of get refueled and refreshed might bring things back to the middle a little bit. But I still think they're going to win. I just think we're catching steam at the right time. And because we played so
wait, Rodney. Didn't you think that after North Carolina and BYU too? I did, and look what happened.
Absolutely, I did.
Look what happened.
Absolutely,
That's
I did.
why I'm telling you I can't
I
trust
know.
nothing, because I thought that and felt that
Yeah.
after that, and then we'd all came crashing back down to earth.
Well, we'll know after this weekend. We'll know because this is Clemson. This is that big marquee home game that they shouldn't play down to. I mean,
Right. Yeah, exactly.
This should be the game that gets them excited. I think it will. Yeah, I'm looking at like 27. I'm thinking more now like 27, 26. That's
Oh,
what I'm
wow.
saying. I'm gonna say
Doesn't get much
26. I'm gonna
closer
say
than that.
a last
Jeez.
second field goal wins it.
Oh, my God. In the rain, in the wind. You're stressing me out already. I'm not even in town yet. I'm not even in town yet. You got me all stressed out. Can I even get there first?
What I don't think is going to happen is I don't think we're getting blown out tomorrow. I don't think that is going to happen. I think if anybody's going to blow anybody out tomorrow, I think it's going to be us.
Wow.
I just got this feeling that it's our moment finally. I think it's our moment, but we'll see.
It would be a big deal. And it's just good to have a big game feel again, because a lot of this year hasn't provided that naturally after the beginning. So just to have the energy of the week that feels like a big game is a good mix up. But Rodney, I'll text you, and then we'll meet up this weekend. But I'm gonna go run my errands, get packed, and I'll be heading to town.
All right, man. Welcome to South Bend. I'll be heading up tomorrow morning.
Beautiful. I'll give you a text, figure out what my plan is. And then anybody else, if you're going to be there, hit me up, let me know, and we'll tailgate and we'll meet up. So Rodney, safe travels into town. We'll connect.
You got it, buddy. Same to you.
See ya.
All right, bye.
Man, good impromptu show today on a Thursday. I want to thank everybody for being here. I know the timing wasn't ideal. I realize it threw people off doing this on a Thursday. You guys, I'm really struggling with this. I have a strong inclination to want to be in South Bend for certain things when I can, whether it's for business or networking, people I want to meet with. The Cal game this year, there was recruits, families that I wanted to meet with and host and get to know them, welcome them to Notre Dame. So I was able to do that. Like, there's a lot of different reasons I want to be in South Bend. What makes it hard is it's hard to do the show. I can't really put out content. Like, I have no cell service. Like, none of that stuff works when I'm in South Bend. And when it's a Friday, Saturday, I'm going to be there tomorrow or driving there, so I can't have a morning show. I am going to put out something, though. You're going to have content. It's just not going to be live. I've pre-recorded stuff I'm going to put out for you. So you're still going to be covered tomorrow, but I'm not going to be there. Saturday, game day, obviously I'm not going to go live when I'm on campus on a pregame. I have stuff planned. You're still going to have content. It's just not going to be live. But trust me, I got content for this. This is a big game. I got stuff for you coming, okay? Some of it analyzing the game, some of it pump up stuff. I got stuff for you, okay? I really do. So thanks everybody for that. Where do I live? Chicago South Suburbs. It's where I live. So thanks everybody. Thanks for being here. Thanks for donating. Thanks for calling. Thanks for being in the chat. We'll see what happens. The next time you see me live will be Monday. Let's see whether I'm in a good or bad mood. Have a good one.